I'm a prancing purple nudie Rudy with a yellow face, and this is Crashlands, a game where you crash on a land. A very strange land. As I fight, craft, fish, and farm up a storm, I'll be aiming to achieve 100% of what's possible in a single playthrough, including hatching and evolving all 19 pets, collecting all 577 recipes, building 10,000 floors for some reason, and saving the universe from a purple floating head. This game is zany, to say the least, so enjoy. Bureau of Shipping, Shipment, Shipping, Ship, BS, SS. This is Juicebox, my robot friend, and that purple muscle beast is me, Flux, and we are delivering some important packages. Good, and remember those packages can't have a scratch on them. This isn't our first rodeo, so... Something had stopped our ship in its tracks. Oh, look at that prance. When I attempted to fire the ship up again, this distinguished gentleman appeared out of nowhere. Hugo Dooku? Well, hello there, space travelers. Welcome to planet Wonope. Sorry to pull your little space truck out of space warp like that, but I needed a space favor. We're on a pretty tight schedule, floaty head guy. I'm working on a little science project, but I need a quantum electro dongle. We told the purple floater that we had one of those, but if we removed it from our ship, the ship would explode. Hugo Dooku seemed to like the sound of that. Here he goes. He's a good looking fella, to be honest. Don't steal my electro dongle, mate. Very rude behavior. The theft of my electro dongle was not ideal for the structural integrity of our ship. And before the whole thing exploded, I had to save the 3 precious packages Juicebox and I were trying to deliver. I grabbed the first, timed my movement to avoid a big shock, grabbed the second, and headed up this way to claim this space wrench, which I used to slap the barricades in my way. I grabbed the third package, and despite the fact that our ship could explode at any second, I took a detour to collect some space duck pies from these 2 rooms, and I headed for the drop pod. Alright. This is where we crash land. Yes, indeed. The titular crash landing was upon us. I play a lot of games where you crash land, actually. That is true, and there's something exciting about crashing down with nothing but your big purple muscles to keep you alive. But this was not really convenient because we still had 3 packages to deliver. What about that alien maniac who just blew up the ship? We just need to contact the Bureau of Shipping so they can send a space rescue space truck before he shows up again. And so our goal was to create a communications device with which we'd contact the Bureau of Shipping. To get the ball rolling establishing ourselves on this planet, Juicebox whacked down a crafting station for me, and I got busy collecting. This is the survival vibe we love. I need a saw to cut that, okay? What is this bug? Can I get this bug? Oh, I stepped on it. Give me that sawgrass, give me that dirt, give me that bacon weed, give me that stick. I'm in the savannah. 3 out of 577 recipes. Holy dooly. M for map. Generating map. Okay. Is that a big old map? Yeah, that's a big old map. Come here, idiot. No weapon equipped. Okay. I can't womp the wompet. Can I step on this? I stepped on the tiny elephant. With a bunch of materials now gathered, I hit up the crafting station. A BSSSSSS5 workstation. I crafted 10 thatched saw floor out of 10 sawgrass blades, and learned how to use the build menu to whack down a beautiful floor. Juicebox then pooped out a crafting recipe, which taught me how to craft a sawgrass saw. After another brief stint collecting, I crafted it. Give me a saw, man. Build. Okay, we're moving now. This allowed me to collect these whistle roots. Oh, that make you angry, fella. Bro, what? You're not happy that I destroyed your bush? Run! I needed logs too, so I ventured a little further and found some log trees. Why am I whacking with a saw? Shouldn't I be cutting with a saw? You'd probably saw with a saw in most cases, but whatever. This random doodad here gave me a run speed buff for 60 seconds, which I used to zoom from log tree to log tree, and to avoid angry wompets. I discovered a waypoint in the process, and learned I could teleport from the map menu at will. Well, this is useful. We got some quality of life stuff already. Teleporters. With all that I'd collected, I was able to craft a sawmill. Oh, I can make so many wooden things with this. Holy crap. I decided I wanted more flooring, so I collected more sawgrass blades, and as I pranced about, darkness descended. Juicebox detected a light source nearby, so I wandered over. He was on an island, so I had to make a little bridge, but soon I had a torch to whip out during the night. Lovely. And the next bush I slapped gave me a schematic. A schematic for a bureau scroll. I crafted and placed some more floor tiles, and down went the sawmill too. Go on then, give me a log chest. 3.29% vampire, 3.5% shock. Hell yeah. Got a wood chest piece, baby! I wanted a sword and other armor pieces as well, but I was gonna need a bunch more logs and sawgrass. Don't do it, bro. Oh, they're shooting blobs at me. Funny mosquito idiots. There's a bunch of like octopus weirdos too. This planet is weird, man.
Planet Wonope is indeed rather weird.
I like how everything is sucked up automatically. I like how I can warp. I like how it automatically brings the tool I need out so I don't have to have it on my action bar. I like how I found a schematic for a chair. I love chairs.
You know, I recently realized something. I haven't asked people to subscribe to my channel in over 20 video uploads. So today I'm going to change that with the best call to subscribe you've ever heard. Subscribe to Floydson if you also love chairs.
That's a big boy Wompet. Look at him. He's huge.
I found my first sun shroom over here. This gliderpuss tried to zoom at me, and this glutterfly whipped out the triple blobber.
Oh, it's all happening.
And I collected all night long, gathering the 17 logs and 19 sawgrass blades I needed to craft a sword.
Boom. Sword. 4 attacks a second, that's a lot. It's got bleed and it's got freeze. Acceptable sawgrass sword of colditude. Alright, so I think it has a chance to kind of be crafted with random stats.
And so I was finally equipped to actually womp a wompet. What a wonderful thing.
Yeah. When it's domesticated, it provides the following buffs. I can domesticate it and it'll give me toughness and bicep power.
I would most certainly love to domesticate a wompet, but for now I'll settle for murdering a bunch. That space wrench from earlier reappeared on my action bar. It can be used to stun enemies on a 15-second cooldown. I kept busy collecting wompet bones and sinew and leather and toenails, along with any other resources I laid eyes on.
Alright, I can make fertilized dirt now by pooping on it or something. Fertile dirt.
After finding yet another schematic, I stumbled upon this strange creature. Carter is a map maker, and she wanted me to wander about and mark some locations on the map. She marked the spot on my map that she wanted me to mark on the map, which makes perfect sense, and so I headed north, where I entered into glorious combat with this gliderpuss. As you can see, it zoomed about.
Gliderpuss is kind of hard, you know. It's just not taking damage.
It took me about 3 years to kill this thing, and during that epic slog, I let my guard down.
Oh, dude, it did 80... It did so much damage to me. Okay, eat some pie.
The pie I'd brought from the ship healed me up, and the gliderpuss was finally defeated. I placed down a sign at the spot with the blue flowers, somehow got into never-ending combat with another blue idiot. I think I may have lacked the appropriate gear to fight these things effectively, and I returned to Carter. She next wanted me to scope out a place to the southwest, but before doing that I headed back to base and built a skinnery out of wompet parts. Another tier of crafting station made out of stinky wompet. Very nice. Meanwhile, Juicebox discovered something.
Found a location on my map. Power pole. So I can make level 3 armor now and level 2 weapons. I feel like I should make an old man statue for some reason.
Absolutely beautiful. To craft the new gear, I needed a bunch more wompet body parts, so I got busy stunning and slicing wompets, collecting plenty of logs and sawgrass as I went, too. I soon returned and made an axe, chest piece, and pants.
Oh, it's got move speed on it? Nice.
I couldn't afford a wompet helmet or gloves though, so I settled for some wooden ones. By the way, items have a chance to be made at different qualities. This helmet was standard quality, but these wood mitts were a fancy purple quality. With that, my health shot up to 233, and my damage was much improved too. The axe attacks at half the speed of the sword, but it hits harder and gives berserking.
I got berserk. Ah, it's a chance to go berserk. Okay.
Being berserk makes you attack 40% faster for 6 seconds. One of my items granted a chance to apply burn damage too, so this wompet got toasted. I also crafted these things.
Whoa!
They're harvest bombs that help you collect stuff faster.
Hell yeah, that is effective.
And I wandered about whacking wompets. Each one tried to stomp me with its singular foot, but I was too fast for that nonsense. I took on another gliderpuss hatchling too, which still took 42 years to kill even with my improved gear. Nerf gliderpuss. Even this wompet heifer, which was about double the size of the little ones, was way easier than a gliderpuss hatchling.
Oh, what is this? The heck is this? The Hydra Blade. A mutant sawgrass blade.
Finding this unlocked a schematic for the Hydra Blade Woodshankers, a legendary item that I was able to craft immediately at the sawmill. It took 30 seconds to craft, so while I was waiting, I made a womp hat using the skinnery.
Legendary item, baby. That's the first achievement.
These gloves have lots of stats on them. I revisited this spot because I felt this sign deserved to actually have something written on it, and I discovered I needed a pickaxe to collect the blue flowers. When I took on this wompet, I came across another glorious find.
I smacked an egg right out of that wompet. I could hatch it. Imagine your own pet wompet to follow you around and stomp your enemies to splatters. Heck yes. Okay, we've got an incubator recipe. Hell yeah.
As night fell, the glutterflies emerged, and I took on my first glutterfly worker, which was mercifully easier than the unbeatable blue octopus weirdos. As I collected stuff, more recipes continued to drop willy-nilly. I won't bother telling you about all of them, but they were mostly decorative items, potions, or bombs. I soon made my way to this fancy spot, where I plonked down a sign for Carter. I returned to her, and next she sent me off northwest.
Give me the incubator.
I also crafted and placed some glorches.
There we go, we've got some glorches happening.
happening.
I rearranged the base a little because it's important to have a good vibe around the base, and I soon placed down the Wompet egg to incubate. It was set to hatch in 5 minutes. I'd finally amassed 8 dirt, so I was able to make 4 fertile dirt, which I placed over here, and I planted sawgrass seeds. I crafted 10 wooden floors out of 10 logs and put those down here.
Alright, a little farm going.
While I was waiting for the Wompet to hatch, I headed out collecting, and a few minutes later...
Name. Come on, Big Slap. Could even milk it. What?
But before I milk my Wompet, I've got to blow some stuff up. Yes indeed, thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. Available now for free on PC and consoles. In War Thunder, you can take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of the past 100 years. You'll be immersed in intense combat between 10 major nations, and the details of the vehicles, the realism of the graphics, and the intensity of the sound design will make you feel like you're very much in the thick of battle. It's epic PvP at an enormous scale, with over 70 million players in the community worldwide engaging in 3 distinct game modes. Fast-paced and punchy arcade mode, authentic and gritty realistic mode, and simulator mode, which won't hold your hand at all, making for an extremely challenging battle. There's a damage X-ray view, so you can see exactly which components of the extremely detailed vehicles were damaged, down to the individual components like engines, fuel tanks, weapons, and crew. And military buffs out there will be pleased by the historical accuracy in the way the vehicles look and behave. Play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox now by using my link below. If you're new, or if you haven't played in 6 months, you'll get a bonus pack featuring a bunch of premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium. Okay friends, back to the lands of Crash.
Try putting that milk-tastic beast of yours back in its nest and then feed it some sawgrass leaves.
Yes indeed, I milked my Wompet. There's nothing weird about that. And I invited Big Slap to join me on the road. She provided a buff to my damage and toughness, and she also stomped my enemies.
Get him. Jump on their heads. Hell yeah.
When I came across this Sterling Wompet heifer, I think I was a little outclassed, but I went for it anyway, hacking away at the big girl. I managed to defeat her, but I think Big Slap carried. And it dropped Sterling Wompet Essence, which was most intriguing. I stumbled upon Burl's home.
Hello, Burl.
But I don't think he was in. I continued wandering, and I was especially pleased to grab more dirt because I was keen to make a big farm. That night, I finally made my way to Power Pole.
Can you feel the power? For Hugaduku, anything, yes. You work for Hugaduku? 3 batteries and the crackalack. What are you talking about?
That crystal there was a resonator that Juicebox had picked up with a scan, and we needed it to make our comm device, but by the looks of it, it belonged to Hugaduku.
Burl. Oh, there's Burl.
Burl told me that Derned was off her noodle because of the crystal, so we offered to take it off her hands. But Burl did not trust me just yet. After all, I was a random purple alien. I agreed to clear his house of Wompets to gain his trust. I also chatted to Ollie, who had been picnicking with Kickflip when some Wompets attacked, which had ruined the vibe. To save their everlasting love, I needed to go kill Gromp the Wompet. Meanwhile, Kickflip had lost a root ring, which is symbolic of the joining of 2 lives to the roots of Marla. Marla is their tree-tastic god, by the way. Apparently, the ring got snagged on a whistle root, so I was tasked with finding it. I found Gromp immediately, so I destroyed Gromp, and my next target was Wallop. It was not efficient for me to fight the enormously powerful Glidopus hatchlings, but for some reason I could not resist.
How, dude?
See those flat stones? I couldn't collect those yet because I needed a pickaxe. I cleared out the Wompet infestation over at Burl's house, and Big Slap's area damage was pretty juicy.
Big Slap is owning them.
I informed Burl of my success and received a most glorious schematic.
Make me one of those, baby. Finally got a pickaxe.
I also made a leather ball.
Wompet, get the ball. Get the ball. Big Slap, get the ball, man.
I had my first sawgrass harvest, and I planted some log trees, and then it was time to claim the crystal using my new pickaxe. This snapped Derned out of her trance, and she was able to reveal that Hugaduku was looking for batteries, and he was on a mission to find the ancient Crackalacca to warp in some minions.
Hugaduku's after mischief. Oh, Hugaduku.
Hugaduku really wanted some batteries, and he did this to Burl.
Hey, he blew up Burl.
The violence didn't help him. We genuinely had 0 batteries. But Burl was dead, and I was tasked with commemorating his great life by taking a gift to his grandmammy. I spent the night collecting and searching for Wallop the Wompet, who I eventually found at around 3 AM. He nearly one-hit me, but I was able to claim victory. I ignored the green Glidopus though, because that would have taken me half an hour to kill. And as day 6 dawned, I collected flat stones with my shiny new pickaxe.
What are these? Need a better saw. Need a better saw for this stuff.
I was able to collect the blue walker blossoms with my pickaxe, though. I informed Ollie of Wallop's demise, and my final Wompet target was Saucy, who spawned in literally right next to me. See on the left of the screen there? Except I didn't notice because I'm a goose, so I ran off. I at least finally found Kickflip's lost entanglement ring on this whistle route, which I returned immediately before wandering off in search of Saucy once more.
Oh, here we go. We got the mother load.
You can see in the top right, I was working towards my next crafting station made out of flat stones. So I was very pleased to find this rocky place, as I assumed I was going to need plenty more stones with which to make the next tier of armor. No flat stone was safe from the fury of my pickaxe. Once the area was clear, I returned to base to craft a stone shaper and increase the size of my glorious farm. There's something really satisfying about the way all the crafting options pop onto the screen. Look at that, so pleasing to the eyeball. I placed it down and had a look. The next tier of armor did indeed require flat stones, but it also required glutterfly chitin, of which I had only 8, so I needed to go bug hunting at night. I made a potted sunshroom for a quest, and I tried out a sword and an axe, so I decided it was time to give the third and final weapon type a whirl. I ported back to power pole and actually used my eyes this time, and so I spotted Saucy, and I gave the hammer a try. This attacks once per second, slower again compared to the other weapons, but it hits harder and has a chance to stun enemies. It got the job done defeating Saucy. Saucy dropped more sterling Wompet essence, which gave Juicebox an idea for a schematic. A garter to put on my pet Wompet's singular leg foot. Sounds disturbing. I informed Ollie that Saucy was dead, and I informed Kickflip that all 3 Wompets that had disturbed their picnic were dead, and suddenly the 2 were reunited.
Love be like a box of Wompets. True. Big crits. Oh yeah. Got an egg for one of the flies.
I spent the night killing glutterflies and claiming their chitin, but when I got in a tangle with these 3 goobers, I think I got a little careless.
Oh, I died. What the hell? What did I get hit by? Must got hit by the octopus.
Oh well, that's a free teleport home, I guess.
Got a lot of chitin now.
But I needed more flat stone, so back out I went on the grind.
Oh, dude. I'm failing so bad. I just ran straight under that. Oh gosh.
So I was learning the hard way that getting hit by an enemy is very punishing. Their attacks are well signposted and can usually be avoided, but when fighting multiple enemies at once, I needed to pay close attention. This shrine thingo gave me wings.
Power of flight? Wait, what? I can fly? I can fly for 2 minutes.
And I didn't really want to fight at this point, I just wanted flat stone. So I cut about, collecting all of day 7. I did kill this grey Wompet because I wanted its essence, and I wandered back to Power Pole where Derned had another quest. She wanted me to plant 8 log trees around Power Pole as a way to appease the god Marla. I harvested back at base, picked up all that dirt, and queued up a bunch of armor to craft using the abundance of materials I'd spent all night and day collecting.
I need so much for a Wompet garter, but I think it makes my Wompet huge.
I soon equipped all my armor, and I crafted a sword too.
Glutterfly incubator would be nice. Sword. We didn't get an upgraded sword. Disappointing.
I decided to equip it anyway. I placed down the glutterfly egg, and I worked out I could salvage my old items to get about half the materials back, so I salvaged some stuff. The reason I'd switch back to a sword is because I preferred the faster attack speed. Because of the nature of the enemy's attack patterns, you've got to dodge a lot, so it's easier to get off more attacks if the swing is quick. And I had a chance to inflict bleeds and burns and poisons and lightning damage depending on what stats my gear had. And more attacks meant more opportunities for those debuffs to get applied to the enemy. Also, my new armor had boosted my health to 481. And I'm sure you'll be impressed to learn that with my increased damage, I no longer took 47 years to kill Glidopus hatchlings. I placed a sign here for Carter's next mapping quest, after which she gave me yet another quest. It's quite a questathon in this game, but before doing that, I teleported to Power Pole to plant 8 log trees. I left those to grow and went on the hunt for them grey Wompets, because I wanted more sterling Wompet essence. I of course collected up a storm as I went too.
Old Jarnel. Hee. Okay, he's a bit of a weirdo. Oh, what is this? Womp Lord.
I unwisely took on the Lord of the Womp.
I do no damage. Run! Flee from the Womp Lord.
Along with the essences of the sterling Wompets, I needed an outrageous 129 flatstone to make the Wompet Garter, which I could use to upgrade Big Slap. But I didn't even have 40 of those, and I couldn't seem to find many. I returned home to regroup, where I welcomed Tony to the family, and after placing a few farm plots down, I headed out with Tony to see how he fared in battle, compared to my good mate Big Slap. He proved effective against this Wompet, dealing some solid poison damage. I wandered over to Carter's fishing hole and placed down a sign, prompting Carter to immediately move in. With that, the quest line was completed. This sterling Wompet bull was even more fearsome than the sterling Wompet heifers I'd been fighting, so it took ages to defeat, but thankfully it yielded 2 essences. I found one of these rocky areas, which filled my heart with joy as I was able to collect about 70 flatstone. This happened.
Oh, dude, what?
But I had a great excuse for my slip up.
I mean, those things are not hard to dodge. It's just a war of attrition because my eyes started glazing over and my mind leaves my body. It's very loosely attached to my body in the first place.
What I was trying to say is that when it takes literally a minute and a half to defeat those sterling bulls because of my crappy damage, it's easy to have a lapse in concentration, resulting in a big hoof toe to the face. But with the defeat of this fella, I had the 11 sterling wampet essences I needed. I next took on an ancient glutterfly and earned my first ancient glutterfly essence. And after snagging a few more flatstone, I was finally ready to craft the wampet garter. It also cost 93 wampet leather, by the way. I soon gave the garter to Big Slap.
Here you go, big fella. He's evolving. Come on, Big Slap. Hell yeah. He's embiggened. Embiggened.
And apparently, Big Slap could be evolved yet again.
Yeah, I can get it a pogo stick, a one pogo stick.
But for now, I left Tony in the stable and strode forth with a bigger and better Big Slap by my side.
Boom. Big damage.
I found this random thing, at the end of which I claimed an elixir, and I found this chest in which I found some bombs. And when I found this flatstone rich area, I went nuts collecting, and eventually I arrived at Grandmammy's.
We're here to tell you about the death of young Burl.
Along with the bad news, we gave Grandmammy that potted sunshroom I'd crafted earlier as a gift to celebrate Burl's life. And then we asked if she might know where to find a battery. She said her friend Graham runs a lab, which she marked on my map and told me to go ask there. She also gave me another quest to make her an anger omelette, and granted me the recipes needed to make one. I spotted this goober on the map, so I wandered there to see what was up. Arnd and Oogie here thought I was a purple flower. These two moved here to enjoy nature, but the wampets kept trampling their bacon weed flowers, so they asked me to put a few in some sturdy pots. I headed home and crafted some, and a hearth too. You can use this to craft healing items and elixirs. I crafted an anger omelette out of some plants and a sterling wampet essence.
15% pet damage boost for 20 minutes. That's not bad. Interesting. All right, let's give Oogie his bacon pots. There we go. I need to find someone called Nightwalker. I need to splush him dead.
I next headed to Grandmammy and gave her the anger omelette she'd requested. And I zoomed about collecting flatstone.
Let's try and get a good roll on a hammer, because it only costs 16 flatstone. Give me an epic. No, it's just a plain one.
Apparently, the devastation of that failure ended my attempts at getting an epic, because off I went to Power Pole to check if the log trees had grown. They had indeed, and the voice of Marla piped up to say she was pleased.
Marla, I threw myself on your flowery shoots. Burl is gone, lasered in the face by a big old floaty head, and I don't know what to do. Don't worry, seedling, Burl lives on within my foliage.
Dern's purpose was to create a shrine to Marla in the north. I collected the logs and scooped up the dirt here, returned the dirt to my base's glorious farm, crafted a bunch of thatched walls and floors out of sawgrass.
Yeah, achievement for crafting 100 floors. Beautiful.
And played around sprucing up the farm area, but left it like this for now. I crafted more wooden floors and revamped the crafting area, and I made a little corner for my pets to be stabled. I shuffled my crafting stations about too. After that base building spree, I slowly made my way north, collecting logs as I went, because I knew I was going to need more wooden flooring. I found this spirally business with a chest at the end of it.
Elixir of bulging biceps. Improves damage dealt by 5% for 20 minutes.
And just nearby was the site where Marla Pole was to be built, marked by a flat stone broken by one of Marla's roots. It was infested with a few enemies, so I took them out. Once they were defeated, a voice spoke from out of nowhere.
Voice of Barry. Bari, I don't appreciate you helping Marla's followers.
It appeared Bari was an opposing god, anti-Marla and displeased with my arrival. I informed Dern the shrine was clear, and she headed there to set up shop. On my travels, I slowly collected dirt, so my farm continued to grow, and this was helpful for my log collecting efforts.
So I think I should be killing the big wampets because I
just stopped talking there, but I needed sterling wampet essences, though these big fellas took about a minute to defeat, so it was a bit of a grind. I also found Nightwalker, who was indeed walking the night. I killed him dead. Arnd and Oogie were pleased, but they had one more request. They wanted walls and a door for their home, so I helped them out. They then informed me of the glory of the baconweed fairy.
In exchange for all your teeth, the beautiful, gracious baconweed fairy grants 3 wishes.
They told me to go speak to Old Jarnel if I wanted to find out more. Old Jarnel asked what a toothy fella like me was doing so far south, before an army of wampets came out of nowhere to attack him. Apparently they wanted revenge because he'd stolen a bunch of wampet teeth to replace the teeth that he'd given to the baconweed fairy. Seems reasonable. For this fight, I ran around in circles and let Big Slap out-wampet all the other wampets with his big womps.
Gotcha. I got your back, Old Jarnel.
He then told me to go rescue a besieged baconweed, and in exchange for that favor, he'd tell me where to find the baconweed fairy. I made my way there and ended up in a literal 5-minute battle, because this green gliderpuss got involved somehow, and he was a beast with a rather large amount of health. But eventually, I was triumphant. Old Jarnel awaited me.
I need to make a pilgrimage to the far southwest.
So I had directions to the bacon weed fairy. But Juicebox warned me that something fishy was up with this fairy business, which I'd already guessed based on the teeth removal shenanigans, but it was good to have confirmation. I collected this ring of logs, this farm full of logs, and I managed to collect 9 sterling wampet essence, so I made some anger omelets to buff up my pet damage. On day 14, I fought more wampets, and made my way to the lake old Jarnell had pointed me towards. He told me the bacon weed in the middle of this lake pointed towards the bacon weed fairy, so I took this to mean I'd find her somewhere to the left. I headed that way, but didn't find what I was looking for. Instead, I found Graham's lab for that other quest. The lab was assaulted by glutterflies as we arrived, so I dealt with them. It's lucky these were just little ones, because it was hard to dodge all their fluorescent balls in these tight quarters. But that wasn't the end of the aerial assault. Next came the Queen of the Glutters, who straight up blew the door away, which I found impressive. Once all that hullabaloo was sorted, I asked Graham about batteries. And again, these two could not help me, but they reckoned Romerl could, as she'd been known to dabble in the energy arts. Excitingly, I was awarded the Chemworks, another crafting station. They also gave me a couple more quests. Back at base, another harvest was ready, and more importantly, I was able to craft the Chemworks.
Oh yes, finally new weapons.
I'd spent quite a while without any upgrades because I'd done my quest in a less than ideal order, so these were definitely overdue.
What do I need for it though? Water balloons? What the hell?
I made some glue out of wampet toenails, and I crafted a sword.
Please. Ooh, a blue sword. Hell yeah.
This was a rather juicy increase in damage. I also made a stuffed wampet. I made a bunch of potted bacon weed and kibweed, and honestly, I have no idea what you even use kibweed for. But it was farmable, so I of course needed to farm it. And I couldn't figure out how to get water balloons, so I was unable to upgrade my saw for now. I instead headed south to this bump berry patch and took on Bolger, which knocked over a quest and earned me an intriguing schematic.
Blowpipe.
This thing looked interesting, a device used to poison enemies.
Do I need ammo for it? I don't think I need ammo for it.
It took 2.5 minutes to craft, so I went AFK for a bit, and in my absence, Flux did some extreme jumping. Soon it was done, and it popped onto my action bars. I tested it out. It applied a poison that dealt tick damage, and it had a 10-second cooldown. And so I now had 2 usable combat items on my action bar. I then found some of these tar gremlins called Tartles. I took a few on and discovered they were big fans of shooting flames all over the place, and I destroyed them. Or should I say Big Slap destroyed them, while I ran around in circles dodging the fire. I then tracked down Explorgulus the Glutterfly, who I defeated. My improved sword was certainly helping, by the way. I then received a wonderful treasure hunting clue from these fellas.
Broken stones raise the maze, treasures under crystal gaze.
The defeat of Explorgulus meant another quest was complete, and I was allowed access to this chest from which I claimed some ancient Glutterfly essence and some gravel bombs. With that essence, I was able to craft a glutternet, and getting those bombs reminded me bombs exist, so I used harvest bombs to make my log farming quicker. I picked up the glutternet, gifted it to Tony, and the embiggening began.
Big Tony. Give me some Big Tony. Oh, that's a fat Tony. Hell yeah. Embiggified.
I also made a stone bed, which I'd recently unlocked, and I crafted some health potions out of bacon weed. I then gave Bigger Tony a chance to prove his worth, but the Glutterfly attacks seemed to miss a lot, so I wasn't a fan. Despite my lack of love for Tony, I kept him with me through the night, and in the morning I found Romerl. Except I was supposed to bring her a pinwheel as a gift, so I returned home to craft one before porting back.
Pinwheel! Woo! Hi, Romerl.
I asked Romerl about a battery, but she had another project she was working on.
Need some water balloons to get it done, but this floating thing came by earlier and took all my pumps. Hugaduku? Also, who's that?
She gave me the schematic for a water pump, with which she wanted me to make some water balloons for her. And I'd managed to kill a few glider pie in my journey so far, so balloons were immediately forthcoming. Great news, because that meant I was also able to upgrade my saw to tier 2.
Lovely, lovely. About time.
When I killed this glidopus, I got a great schematic, safety gogs, and I gave Romerl the 5 water balloons she requested. She proceeded to tell me she threw the battery in a random lake.
Grandmammy fishes. Loves fishing. I'm gonna have to fish it up, eh? Oh dear, not Hugaduku.
Hugaduku was also still on the hunt for a battery, the silly goober. After he left, Romerl gave me the schematic for another crafting station, the Squaith. And then it was time to put my new tier 2 saw to work, collecting squee husk and squacoon from these squee plants. Then I noticed Romerl had another quest to bring her some explosive stuff called nitro. I continued chopping down squee, I took on too many alien critters and this happened, and then I spent yet more time collecting squee. I also took on some more tar monsters, and I spotted these weird rocks that I was as yet unable to collect, as I needed to upgrade my pickaxe. I spent all of day 18's daylight hours collecting and fighting and collecting.
Dude, what the hell? Excuse me? You see that? What was that about?
I was pleased to find some of these orange gasac plants, because I was going to need gas sacks to make nitro. Back at base, I realized there were some trinkets I could craft. One required wing dust from a domesticated glutterfly, so I collected some of that by feeding Tony some plants.
And I need heaps more of their tentacles so I can make a bunch of water balloons. But a couple of trinkets would be good. This is crit chance by 10%. It's crazy.
I needed to kill more glidopus so I could make more water balloons, so that night I got busy, and managed to find a glidopus egg in the process. In the morning, I kept busy, roaming the savannah destroying the floaty idiots. The green ones still took 5 years to kill, so I don't know why I bothered, but I eventually collected over 50 siphons, which allowed me to make over 50 water balloons. I crafted a glidopus incubator, a squaith, and some safety gogs. Down with the incubator, I had a cheeky harvest, and I was happy to realize I'd collected heaps of squee seeds, so I of course planted as many of those as I could. And
here we go. New station.
Finally, I was able to make level 7 armor and weapons. In fact, all I needed to make some of those items was some blastique.
Boom, first trinket. 10% crit is actually crazy. Oh, I think you can get good rolls on the trinkets too. It's actually 14% with a sword. Okay, well, I'm definitely making another sword.
And so I did some crafting. A Squenus squidtastic sword, a squiddy helmet, and chest piece. To get the gloves and pants, I was going to need to kill more glidopi. But for now, I was happy with this sword roll.
It's just got crazy crit on it.
I didn't get very exciting armor rolls, but at least these offered more HP.
Is this guy ready to come out already? He is. This guy's name is definitely Bluetooth.
With this sword plus the safety gogs, I had almost 44% crit chance, and of course higher damage in general. And I soon realized these stat improvements impacted Big Slap, who was also hitting for higher numbers and critting more. This made me much more effective at killing glidopi, but they were still a bit of a pain.
The fact that they zoom around is so frustrating.
Yes indeed, it's kind of hard to get a hit in. I needed both ink and siphons from the glidopi, so I kept busy killing all night as I slowly made my way to Grandmammy's. She was still indebted to me for the part I'd played honoring Burl, so she happily gave me the schematic to make a fishing rod. I continued killing through the night.
It feels nice to actually be strong against those guys. Dude, what? Why does he keep doing that? Stop doing that. You rude floating purple idiot.
Hugaduku made a habit of randomly appearing just to try and destroy random stuff that I was trying to collect. It was very petty behavior. I was impressed. I enjoyed day 20 as I bandied about with my sword critting pretty much 50% of the time. It felt good to be significantly stronger than I'd been just a couple of days ago. By evening, I'd collected more than enough stuff to craft what I needed. Give me a basic fishing pole, give me some pants and gloves, and give me that glorb. This provides a 5% chance to poison enemies. As you can see, you can have 4 trinkets max. I now had 2. And you can have 4 action bar items max. I had 3, including some speed potions, which I'd cooked up at some point.
Hey! Hey! Why does it keep happening? This scares the crap out of me, dude.
I was able to make some more fertile dirt, so I expanded the farm. I added some smelly green lighting too. And then I realized there was a fishing spot right here.
Oh, we're fishing. The hell? What is that? New biggest balls? I got a ball snail?
Yes indeed, Crashlands has a quick and satisfying fishing minigame of which I was a fan. And I was gonna need lots of fished up goodies, so I made sure to fish at any spots I saw.
Oh, I got 3 things. What is that? What are you? Fat fish deconstructed?
On day 21, I strode forth and got on the grind, and it took barely any time at all for me to fish up the battery.
Oh, is it the battery? There we go. We got the battery already.
By the way, by this point with all my improved gear and devices and trinkets, the big wompets were light work. When I wandered over to Grandmammy's with the battery, I discovered she was set to come out of retirement because she was fired up about defeating Hugaduku.
Time to go to war. What the hell?
Out of nowhere, her quadrupire war pals appeared.
Bric-a-brac, Flack, Jack, and Macalac.
We now had a battery, and the next thing we needed for our communications device was a dish. Grandmammy said she'd help us get one of those if we helped wage war against Hugaduku. And with that, I suddenly had a bunch more quests to knock over.
Got a fishing quest, a bomb quest, and a sneaky eavesdropping quest.
There were a bunch of fishing spots nearby, so I had a fishing spree. And if it isn't obvious how the minigame works, you simply click when there are blobs above the hook.
This is a good strat against these guys, actually. Get them stuck on a bush. Big strat.
I fought and collected and fished the night away as I meandered north, until I eventually arrived at a supply cache of Hugadukus. By the way, a lot of people got angry at me in the Astroneer video because I said cache instead of cache, so I'm going to continue saying cache. I bridged over and took out the Wompet and Glidopus guards.
Okay, we got the crate. Another crate.
And the glutterfly too, and so I claimed all 3 crates at this location. 1 quest done. I continued north where I gazed upon a new sight. A big old tar pit with a bone in the middle.
Giant fossilized femur.
I guess I'd wandered further than ever before, and there were plenty of turtle beasties about. I killed a bunch, and I continued killing gliderpie too, just to stock up on the materials these enemies drop. I was pleased to find a fair few bulbi, these little reddish flower leafy things.
Ooh, new enemy. Some bat nerds.
Yes indeed, my first encounter with a wat, a zoomy boy that fell rather quickly to the many critical strikes of my blade.
There we go, we got 10 bulbi. Oh my gosh, what are these dudes?
These dudes are Zugs, electric beasts. Much like the Wat, this one didn't stand much of a chance. As I fished, I managed to snag some space debris, items required for another quest.
Clearing the water. There we go, we're done with that one. We've fished up 3 space debris, so that's good.
I took on a big chonka turtle.
Oh, he does big rocks. Holy crap, those are huge rocks.
And using the flawless run around in circles strat, I managed to avoid his huge rocks. And when I defeated him, I claimed his tongue.
What are you gonna do now, bro? Can't lick me anymore.
I whiled the day away fighting and collecting until I finally found what I was looking for, this strange triangular pool of tar. I whacked this stone at the northern point of the triangle, and it turned out to be a trigger stone. I visited the other 2 corners and broke 2 more stones, and...
There we go.
But there was no way into the labyrinth, so I was sent to collect 8 gravel bombs. I returned to Grandmammy's first.
Grandmammy. I don't even know what quest that was for. Oh, that was for the supply crates, okay. A Tendrum village is being overrun by turtles. Alright, gotta go to Barnapool now. Just all the way over there.
I turned in the quest to fish up the space debris too. Back at base, I spotted a schematic I hadn't noticed earlier.
What is this? It's a workstation. Oh, well, let's build this thing.
Yes, indeed, a fishy workstation made out of stuff I'd fished up.
Okay, so I can make pearlescent pants and stuff. To make the pearl, I need the glotus berries, which only come out at night.
I made some yellow lighting, which I thought was an improvement over the green I'd previously had, and I managed to craft a pearl scale sword, which was a solid upgrade, though I was sad to lose the huge crit chance on my old sword. I crafted some potted bump berries and expanded the farm, and I crafted the 8 gravel bombs for the labyrinth quest.
Can I make the thing that makes my dude massive yet? I just need water balloons. Okay, we can. We can make a bigger octopus.
The embiggening. What? Bluetooth is growing. Embiggened and ending green are finite.
I took my big green Bluetooth over to the labyrinth.
Come, big fella. I got some bombs for you. Nice job.
Inside was a locked chest, the gravestones of adventurers of old who tried and failed to brave the labyrinth, a golden key, which I claimed and used to open the chest, and another chest, and also...
Oh, it's a boss? What the heck? Blockstock.
Ek de von collect the deck. Bring it on, you unwieldy pebble.
Yes, indeed, it was a boss. Between the poison damage from my blow dart, my sword swipes, and Bluetooth's zoomies, we chipped away at Blockstock's health pool. And the swipes and punches of his rocky hands weren't too much trouble as long as I kept on the move.
Lekatonka Tech? Is that phase 2? Lekatonka Tech means phase 2?
Phase 2 added a few extra moves to his arsenal. And while we were at least slowly burning through his health pool, there was definitely an emphasis on slowly. And with more moves than ever flying all over the place, I took a hit. But it fortunately was not fatal. Eventually, we pushed the big fella to another phase.
Lekatonka Tech, get wrecked.
This phase felt like more of the same, but I was caught lacking.
Oh, what? That came up fast. Oh, that's a fail.
I crafted some more potions and headed back in for another attempt. I think I got a little further this time, but
oh gosh, I went to like what?
What? What hit me? I survived on a sliver of health there, but I think I had a damage over time debuff on me, so down I went. For my next attempt, I equipped the 9 firecrackers I'd found in the chests of the labyrinth, as these deal 200% weapon damage. You see that yellow 193 there? That was a firecracker. Also, you can see all the buffs below my health bar. Those were damage and healing bonuses from elixirs. And I'd love to tell you that this injection of extra stats and damage made the difference. However...
Dude, what?
I love how I yell incredulously, completely outraged, when I did the one thing you don't do in boss fights. Don't stand in the red thing on the ground. That's it, just don't. Luckily, my elixir buffs persisted through death. And probably more importantly, on this next attempt, I concentrated a little harder, which is difficult for me, so you should be proud.
Oh, what? What? Where'd these guys come from?
I'd pushed the fight further than ever before, and some floaty rock goobers had appeared to shoot stuff at me. This forced me on the defensive, as I ran about trying to dodge all the stuff on the screen. But I was able to kill the floaters, so eventually it was just me and Blockstock going at it once more. More floaters soon arrived, but I took them out more promptly this time around, and things were looking up. I slowly wore Blockstock down. More and more floaters arrived to cause a ruckus, but eventually, I was triumphant.
Correct. Nice. By Marla, that was the coolest. Oh, D-bot, that's interesting.
So I guess we found the treasure these two were after, and got a little more than we bargained for in the process. And so my first boss of Crashlands was defeated.
What recipes did I get, you know? At the press of a button, D-bot will come to your rescue, making you invincible. Stunning mirrors. Temporarily stun your opponents for 2 seconds by hitting them directly in the face with this fashionable mirror.
Some respectable schematics, no doubt. I was able to craft the stunning mirror immediately. I headed out on the hunt for those berries that only come out during nighttime. Except a new day dawned, so I returned home, picked up my stunning mirror, so I now had 2 stun items on my action bars, and I had a snooze on my stone bed until dark when I headed back out on the hunt for glotus berries. As you can see, they light up at night, making them ripe for harvest. I kept at it all night and managed to collect about 25 of the luminescent fruits. When day 27 arrived, I returned home to craft, using the berries plus a bunch of snails I'd fished up to create plenty of pearl scales, which allowed me to craft a full set of pearly armor. After a harvest, the gear was ready.
Oh yes, we get an epic helmet with burn and poison on it. That's gonna be huge for damage. Massive health improvement. Get a green chest, we'll take that. It's got shock on it. Green, whatever this is. Freeze? Dude, I got so lucky there. Bit of lifesteal. Ice power. Well, that's a massive improvement. My health's up to 964 now.
That is quite a jump of about 300 health, just like that. I zoomed about foraging for the rest of the days, waiting for night to fall, and once the darkness arrived, it was time to eavesdrop at one of Hugaduku's outposts.
My little furry goat friend, how are you? Tell me where the lens is. Ooh. Lord Harddick was the one who could control that power, and he's been missing a long while. I can control it. Look at my magnificent helm. The lens has been gone since the end of Old Mate's reign.
So Hugaduku was after something called the lens, no doubt with evil intentions. After Hugo left, I of course wanted to rescue Barbran, but the doors were password activated. Fortunately, Hugo is not an expert in security, because his password was Hugaduku, and so we freed the floating goat. We received an interesting reward.
Womp Lord. Oh, he gave me Womp Lord essence.
By the way, I found a turtle egg and managed to incubate one of the stinky beasts.
His name is definitely... Glumpus is definitely his... Yeah, he's a Glumpus from way back.
And so Glumpus joined the menagerie. My bacon weed and log tree farming proved useful as I continued to craft these potions. And every time I went to Grandmammy's, I went on a huge fishing spree thanks to these spots respawning. I'd collected 3 Gasak sacks from the Gasak plants in my travels, so that was a quest done. And I reported what I'd heard about Hugaduku's search for the lens too, and learned that with the lens, Hugo would be able to transport whatever he wanted from or to the planet Wonope. I received 2 follow-up quests in the war against Hugaduku. I first headed to Hugo's Beakler factory, which was heavily guarded by some Wompets, except Wompets were now easy for me, so it was no worries.
Okay, we stole the plans for the Beakler.
And I next headed to the Explosives Lab.
Explosives Lab is absolutely chock-a-block with Wompets. This is outrageous. Need my octopus to solo them all. Go Octopus. Own them.
And so we rescued Pack from the Wompets. I don't know who Pack is, but he's very handsome, and now he was safe. Turns out the Beakler was a trinket.
10% chance to poison enemies on melee attacks. Hell yeah.
And I just needed some Glutterfly wing dust, so I collected some of that from Tony. I harvested from my ever-growing farm, and soon the Beakler was mine. My 3rd trinket and an increased chance to apply poison on attacks.
Firecrackers were amazing. Bombs were all like pshoo pshoo. And the Wombats were like, fire, we're dead.
This is when I realized I was supposed to kill those Wompets next to Pack with firecrackers to test them out. I did not do that, but apparently Flack thought I did. I turned in the Beakler quest too.
Chewing through the quests, man.
For a follow-up, Flack wanted to study a Glutterfly, so I brought Tony over. This earned me the schematic for a legendary item, and then I got 2 more follow-up quests, to find Tack and to organize a birthday surprise for Flack. I milked Big Slap and crafted some nitro out of Gasak and Wompet milk, and I gave 5 of those nitro to Remerl.
He taught me how to make a flamethrower?
I needed 3 Tartle Fire Damp to craft this, but I could only make 2 as I needed more fossilized femurs. I headed out collecting without prejudice. It's fair to say I was collecting willy-nilly, but I did especially want fossilized femurs, so I was pleased when I found this tar area. I decided Big Slap was my favorite buddy, so she was with me once again as we murdered many a Tartle. And I not only needed femurs to craft the flamethrower, I also needed 10 for Flack's birthday surprise. As I collected, I slowly made my way to Barnapole, which was overrun by Tartle. It was my job to clear these Tartle out. But when you have this many nerds shooting fire at you, just about all you can do is run and let Big Slap do the heavy lifting.
Yeah boy, Big Slap owns. Big Slap owns.
One more pack of turtles later, Barnapole was liberated.
You know something about a dish, man?
They wanted me to seal the nearby pit before they'd help me, so they asked for 20 squee floors. I continued on my fossilized femur quest, bridging my way across the tar so I could reach all of these.
That's a filthy turtle. A filthy one.
Die, filthy turtle. By the way, I haven't mentioned this, but you may have noticed. Different enemies have different colored names based on your gear relative to their strength. This filthy beast had a red name, meaning it was theoretically quite hard for me. But as you can see, I defeated it pretty handily. Probably because I am an absolute beast. I made my way south to find Tack.
I take you're the stiff limb bric-a-brac sent over. Your density won't be a problem on land. Bet you'd sink like a stone though.
Tack had a pet starfish named Bingo, and he wanted me to retrieve Bingo's ball. But when I went to the spot he marked on my map, there was no ball, just two big wompits.
Okay, some aggressive wombats. Wompits. Oh! Every time, dude, you scare the crap out of me.
Tack next sent me to investigate this spot to the west, where there was again a lack of ball. There were two green glider pie though.
Tack just keeps sending me to get ambushed.
When I returned to Tack, all hell broke loose.
Oh, this is serious. Oh, that is a serious... What the hell? What is this music? What the hell? Someone just screamed in my ear. Dude, I'm not ready for this. Just have to wait 5 hours for my Wompit to kill them. Oh gosh. Yeah, I didn't think I was ready to fight a big fella like that. The music just turns off when I walk off.
I managed to finish off the ancient queen glutterfly, but then I got splat by a big turtle rock.
Oh!
Back at base, I got some squee flooring crafting, and a flamethrower too, and then I resumed the fight. I managed to lure the wat down here, where it was much easier to defeat it one-on-one, and I was pleased to see it drop a wat egg. I then took on the turtle. This wasn't merely a filthy turtle, by the way, it was a filthy turtle Pappy, which is serious business. The one-on-one against Pappy was also much more manageable, though I did nearly throw the fight at the end when I got hit, but thankfully I pulled through. Tack told me I had nice moves. Agreed. But then about 63 Zugs appeared.
Can you please help against the 57 Zugmuglugs? Wait, what the hell just happened?
I have no idea, but I gathered Tack had us fight those enemies earlier to lure out more enemies to lure out even more enemies. I don't know, but he gave me a tennis racket as reward, which I didn't actually notice at the time. For now though, there were 2 random Zugs left over.
A Zug Guardian. So 2 of them survived somehow? Was that supposed to happen? I'm so confused.
I decided to flee. I returned to Barnapole and gave them the squee flooring, which they used to close up a nearby tar pit so no more turtles would emerge from it. There was another absolutely enormous tar pit right next to them, so this made no sense, but whatever.
Alright, I gotta take on the demon turtle Glatala.
Yes indeed, they needed yet more help before they'd help me get a dish. I first returned to provide the nitro and fossilized femurs for Flack's birthday. He loved it.
Happy Egg Day! Hey, the present worked.
I earned an excellent schematic as reward.
Bernie lid flipper.
Back at base, I picked up my flamethrower and gave it a whirl. It does juicy area fire damage and applies burn. It helped me vanquish Gladala.
Oh dude, the flamethrower does heaps of damage actually. Yeah, the flamethrower does crazy damage. That's great.
I informed Barney of Gladala's destruction, and I finally received the coveted dish.
Crystal Kiln will be the only thing hot enough to make... Okay, we got a new workstation. Oh, there's the pickaxe, finally. Shellfinger pick.
And I got a couple more quests from these two, of course, and I picked up the Bernie lid flipper I'd crafted. I also discovered I needed wat fingers to make the tier 2 pick, so wat hunting was definitely on the menu.
Alright, we got extra fire damage now, that's good.
The Bernie lid flipper was a timely trinket to add 20% damage output to my brand new flamethrower. Great stuff. I tracked down some wats and stole their fingers, and I soon had the upgraded pickaxe. I also crafted a barrel to evolve my pet turtle. I was a big fan of the tier 2 pick.
Yes, I sometimes one hit the flatstone now. Very good.
And more importantly, I could finally collect dusk shards, so that was what I was on the hunt for. Some cheeky glotus berries wouldn't hurt either.
What you gonna look like, Glumpus? Green Glumpus. He looks even more like a Glumpus now. I feel like green is the right color for a Glumpus.
I brought green Glumpus with me on tour for a bit.
I don't know if Glumpus is as good as Big Slap. Big Slap might be the guy, you know. I don't think I want to take on a Zugmug. Zugmugs are too intense. I don't know if there's a game out there that makes you say more stupid things than this.
There are indeed lots of silly words in this game. It's my kind of game.
Ooh, a Zug egg. Hell yeah.
Despite my doubt regarding whether I could take on a Zugmug, I took one on, and discovered I should never have had any doubt.
Actually, Zugmugs are easy. I think Glumpus I think Lumpus owns.
My flamethrower was also doing huge work, no doubt. I collected all day with a focus on Zug materials, dusk shards, and fossils.
A crystal kiln.
Finally, a new workstation at which I could build the comm device.
So we collected the power crystal, the battery next, which I think we fished up. And then we just got the dish because we helped them idiots kill Glabba Glabba Lubu.
Along with the comm device, I made a Wat incubator, a Zug incubator, a new sword, and a set of armor. These cost dusk shards, Wat items, and Zug items, so all my recent collecting was paying off.
Juicebox is finding some high ground where we can put the communication thingo.
And hopefully we'd be able to contact the Bureau of Shipping and get ourselves rescued. I placed down the Wat and Zug eggs. I collected all my new gear, which pushed my health and damage higher, of course. And instead of heading to place the comm device on high ground, I decided to finish up all my other quests first. I gave this paranoid fella Barkfleep a potion so he'd feel safe, and he ended up at Marlapole with Durned. And the voice of Bari arrived, trying to tempt me to evil. Bari also sent a bunch of turtles to attack us.
Barry is gaining power and he must be stopped. Barry is a fungus, a rampant growth. He's striving for dominance, not balance.
And so Marla tasked me with infiltrating Bari's cult. I took on a Womp Lord and was pleased to find myself up to the task, as I earned a Womp Lord essence, and I took on an Elder Glidopus too. This thing took about 3 minutes to defeat, and I earned my first Elder Glidopus essence. I made my way to the Wobbler Ruins, where I scooped up this hologram of Hugo, which I returned to Barney for another quest complete. I crafted a bunch of potted straddlebark, which I'd collected a few of in my recent travels, and I welcomed Flippy Flappy the Wat.
Flippy Flappy.
I expanded my farm a little, I harvested, I welcomed Torgo the Zug,
Torgo.
and having a Zug meant I could get charged Zug Malt, which meant I could finally make the level 11 Dusk Helmet, which meant I looked a little bit like a mummy. As I collected more Dusk Shards, I made a glorious discovery, the Wompogo Stick schematic, which would allow me to make Big Slap even bigger. I kept at it all day, and eventually arrived at a dilapidated shrine Barkfleep had asked me to investigate.
Plagu and Marla go way back. She's in charge of creation and I'm in charge of the other stuff. Alright, Plagu. The shrine used to belong to me and I've been trying to get someone to clean it up a bit. Would you mind?
I plundered first, but then I cleaned it up, clearing out Esther the Nesta, who had rudely been squatting here. With that, Plagu was able to think much more clearly, and the shrine was returned to its former glory. Also, Barkfleep appeared out of nowhere.
All us deities need some physical help from time to time. I hope you don't mind if I borrow your body, Backflip.
So Plagu had possessed Barkfleep's body in exchange for snacks. Seems like a good deal.
Bring Backflip 10 Gassic Meisters as a small offering and I'll pass along an old recipe of immense power.
I had 10 of those already, so that was a quick one, and I was granted knowledge of the Jar of Doom, a trinket that I didn't really want. I discovered all I needed for the Wompogo stick were items from my domesticated Zug and Tartle, so I had that crafting soon enough. And while waiting, I did a little revamp of my base. I'd been saving up a hell of a lot of logs and flatstone, meaning I could make heaps of floors and walls, meaning I was able to do some of these ones to better organize my crafting stations.
Another embiggening. Yes. Yes. Yeah. He looks like a Womp Lord now. He's doing like 150 damage. What a beast.
Big Slap's slaps were more slappy than ever. Great news. And so I tore through the savannah, picking plenty of fights before arriving at the cultist compound of Bari.
Yeah, I need a new god to worship, please. Praise be to Bari.
That was enough to get me in, and to earn Bari's trust, he had his servant ask me to kill a couple of beasts. These beasts roamed around the savannah, so there was nothing to do but roam the savannah myself, hoping to bump into them. This provided me ample opportunity to collect like a madman, and on day 36 I ran into my first blood turtle, so I took it on. This was the turtle equivalent of the Womp Lord, the apex turtle, if you will. Between my 2 stun items, my poison blow dart and flamethrower, plus Big Slap's glow up, and of course my level 11 gear, I was finally feeling quite strong. The blood turtle had a lot of health to chew through, but I was up to the task.
We did it. A blood turtle essence. It's pretty cool I can actually beat them already.
I took on another, and I should mention the further I moved outwards from where my ship crashed at the start of the game, the more difficult enemies and higher tier resources I found. So basically, finding these blood turtles meant I was further out than ever before. I also took on a Zug Muglug, but that didn't end too well.
Oh! I did not get out of that fast enough.
I decided to give the Zug Muglug a miss, but when I spotted the apex bloated glutterfly, I had a little trouble defeating it, but I claimed its essence nonetheless. I took on a Mam Grand Wat too, and then I finally ran into Harak the Wat, the first beast on Bari's hit list, who happened to be about 10 times easier than the Grand Wat I'd just killed. I continued on the hunt for the second beast, a Zug named Vug. I began seeing Zug Guardians in the wild, but they were way too tanky for me to bother with, and as I got deeper into day 37, I tired of fighting, so I just zoomed about searching, ignoring enemies.
Finally, there he is. Vug the Zug. You silly idiot.
Vug the Zug didn't give me too much trouble, and finally Bari's task was completed.
From here, all the way to finally find the bat, and Vug the Zug. We got there eventually.
For Bari's next task, he wanted a tribute of 20 dusk shards and 10 straddlebark, which I already had, and so I won Bari's trust.
In pledging yourselves to Bari, your previous titles are forgotten. Henceforth, you shall be named Shaharasa.
With that, Bari's plan was revealed. He wanted me to poison Marla's root with straddlebark and bulbi. I finally had the materials to make a D-bot, so I did, and more importantly, I finally noticed the Smash Racket.
Smash Racket.
Huh? I'd been given this as a quest reward quite a while back, but I did not realize. Which is a real shame because it is amazing.
Okay, that's 400 damage. Hell yeah.
I also made a fingerang. I have no idea where I got the recipe for that. And the D-bot was soon ready too. I was a fan of the fingerang immediately as it applied bleed and dealt solid tick damage, but the D-bot just made me invulnerable for a bit on a 45-second cooldown, so I didn't think it was worth the action bar slot. And so I subbed one of my stunning items back in. And this was a strong setup. In fact, my items were definitely doing more damage than my sword, and Big Slap was of course popping off too. I remembered I'd potted some straddlebark, so I collected those, and with that I had what I needed for the poison.
Meet undercover at night at the old Marla shrine, and we'll mix the poison. Okay.
I slept until night and headed over to Marla's old shrine, which now belonged to Bari.
We gather here to effect a change of powers. Thanks to Shahasharasha, our newest Haifa, we turn this world over to Bari. The herbs, Shahasharasha, hand them to me quickly. Nah, I think I'll keep them. You'll have to get through me to get to Marla. You better just stand down. Shahasharasha, why would you betray us? Your soul belongs to Bari. Yeah, we'll stick with Marla. Blasphemer, my Haifa, we cannot take her alone. We must sacrifice ourselves to the Bari, may Sporalot. What? Oh, am I fighting Barry? Oh my gosh, you interfere, Flux Dabes?
Yeah, so those three idiots sacrificed themselves to allow Bari to take his mushroomy material form, and my deception came to fruition. I had an opportunity to end Bari's evil forever.
Dude, what is going on? There's stuff everywhere.
Bari zoomed about and lobbed stuff at me, but I was chewing through his health pretty quickly. At about half health, he stopped to chat, insisting we should team up, and he offered me a job.
Matching 401k, I don't know what 401k is, that's an American thing. No can do. Okay, well if you're not gonna give me the 401k, whatever it is, then we're gonna fight.
And so we continued fighting.
Dude, I do so much damage. It's actually beautiful.
Except maybe I should have just taken Bari's job offer.
Oh, what the hell was that? Was that the Zugs thing? I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that Zug interfered and zapped me dead. Very rude behavior. When I returned, I cleared out the surrounding wildlife before re-engaging. And this time, no Zug snipers were present. And though the chaos ramped up as the fight went on, I emerged victorious.
No, we could have been partners. The world bent around my will, channeled through your hands. Sorry, Bari. It's not us, it's you. I've always wanted to say this. You're fired. Bro, we owned Barry, man. Yeah, we saved Marla. You have saved me, Flux Dubbies. And perhaps all of the savannah. I just got like 16 schematics, including a shock prod.
I returned to Durned and claimed some rewards for my Bari destroying efforts.
Alright, so I've done literally every quest, I think, in the savannah. I'm pretty sure this is going to take me to a new biome, but I'm gonna have to Google the bacon weed fairy stuff because I don't want to miss any quests. But for now, we check our building options. I just unlocked so many recipes.
I made a shock prod, which gives a 10% chance to deal electric damage on melee attacks. I expanded my base a little and moved my pets over here. And after a quick Google, I discovered I'd searched in the right direction when looking for the bacon weed fairy earlier. I just hadn't searched far enough.
Bacon weed fairy, we've a gift to be laid. A body for swapping. Mortality delayed? Yeah, this had something to do with teeth before. What's going on? A body unwilling to be given must be instead be taken. Okay, this is a boss. What the hell? Sweet circuits, that thing is ugly. Yeah, let's kill it. Shooting teeth at me. Ah! Ah! It got me. Ah! These teeth are terrifying, dude. It's so ugly. I just have to let my Wampet own her. Get away from me, teeth. The supple bods of the Tendrum have served me for centuries. Soon yours will be mine. I could finally get off-world. Yeah, you're not using this body for anything. Oh, what is this? Oh! Oh! What is this? Balls, man. Balls and teeth. At least my Wampet is owning. How do I get away from the balls, man? Oh, dude. I gotta run away from the balls. I'm trying to tank the balls. Eons of work undone, the beautiful teeth I'll never have again.
I was so busy running away from the balls and the teeth that I didn't realize the bacon weed fairy had gotten low, but she had, and now she was dead. Glorious, glorious victory. I informed Arnd of my success, and finally it was time for the final quest of the savannah. Except first I wanted to craft the 2 remaining legendaries I'd unlocked. Each required a super rare item. One needed a fossil dropped by Tartles, and one needed a crystal collected from dusk stones, so I set about trying to find those. And after a full full day of searching,
Oh, I got the oddly shaped crystal. The butterfly, the legendary weapon. Hell yeah, it takes 5 minutes to craft. That's a long time.
while I was waiting, I managed to evolve my Zug.
Yeah, embiggened. Oof. 20% move speed on it.
I whipped out the big axe, and honestly, it just felt slow compared to the sword I'd been favoring, but it was an overall damage improvement, so I stuck with it. Also, the 20% movement speed was very juicy. Into the high ground I then went, which was guarded by each variety of monster in the savannah. First, a Wompet.
Some serious defense here. It's like a fortress.
And next, a Glutterfly, who was extremely easy to defeat.
That guy just got owned, dude. He got squished. Latalal the flatulent. Hell yeah.
And the Fart monster was easily defeated too, as was his friend.
Oh, what? This dropped as well.
I'd actually given up on finding a giant fossilized skull, but the random title in the final quest dropped it for me. Very generous.
Show me what you got. Oh. Health regen.
Yeah, it's a solid upgrade, and it looks beautiful. I returned to the high ground and down went the comm device, and we managed to make contact with Will from the Bureau of Shipping.
Our ship was destroyed over planet Nope. It was Hugaduku. We need a rescue team, please.
And so a rescue team was deployed to arrive soonish. And out of nowhere, Hugaduku appeared.
We're just trying to call so we can deliver our packages, please. Leave us alone. It's Hugaduku, and you think I would let you leave with those batteries? Batteries? These are packages, Hugo. I need those batteries, give them to me. I'm actually fighting him? What the hell?
I wasn't expecting to take on the purple head until the end of the game, and yet here he was, trying to steal my batteries. He actually wanted the packages we were trying to deliver, which he thought were batteries. Maybe they were batteries, I don't know, but anyway, the fight was on.
Oh, I'm kind of owning Hugaduku.
This first phase was fairly straightforward, as I was free to dish out plenty of damage while avoiding various laser beams.
What do you even need these batteries for? Surely you have more wherever you came from, and I have none. It seems only fair. Shut up, Hugo. These are just packages. We're on a contract to deliver them. Let us deliver, bro. Maybe this was the first Stranding type game. He's jumping now. He's jumping. He's jumping now. Stop that. Stop that, Hugaduku. Bro, I'm owning Hugaduku. You suck. Why are you lying to me? No, bro. Shut up. They're getting bigger. There's bigger things appearing.
And so the fight raged on, but Hugaduku was outmatched. Big Slap and I were too huge.
You are meddlesome. Wait, what are we doing? Why fight you when I can just take them from you? They're not batteries. If they're just packages, why are their energy levels so massive? It's the Securicorp packaging. They're 100% renewable and smells like fresh pine too. Whatever, it's a tappable energy source containing enough power to warp an entire swarm to this planet. Swarm of what? What? Nothing. Who said anything about a swarm? What? Yoink? No, give him. No, he stole. He stole my packages, man.
He also destroyed the communication device. Apparently the Bureau of Shipping would not rescue us unless we still had all of the packages, which seems inhumane, but I guess it's all about the integrity of the delivery. And so we were forced to chase Hugaduku in an effort to retrieve all 3 packages.
Can you use the package camps to see what the place looks like? It's really squishy. What the heck? Grandmammy. Ow, my eyeballs.
These dinguses had showed up a little late, but we were at least able to ask them about the camera feed Juicebox was receiving from the package cams.
What part of the planet looks super squishy and glow? The bog. We're going to the bog, okay. Going to a swampy biome. It's a living organism that consumed the land it grew on. Strange beasts live there. And then backstabbing Bruboos.
And so we knew our next destination. I also unlocked the ability to have 2 loadouts, where I could have different trinkets and action bar items equipped, and I could switch between them by pressing Z. I didn't really use this much at first, but I used it more later on.
The Creeping Rift. Okay, I gotta go to the Creeping Rift.
I killed these first because I wanted this chest, and as I made my way over to the Creeping Rift, I decided to switch back to my sword, because I was more comfortable with the fast attack speed, but mainly because I wanted the crit chance. I soon arrived at the Creeping Rift.
When paths do fray, we part the way through grass, frost, and bone.
With that, this waystone thingo was activated, and suddenly I was able to teleport to an entirely different part of the planet. And so it was that Grandmammy and I traveled to the Bog, in pursuit of the nefarious Hugaduku.
It's disgusting here. What are these things? The bog can hear you. Bog, you are the most beautiful, slimy, mushy thing that I've ever seen. We got a brand new map. Holy crap. No way.
I received an axe and a trowel as welcome gifts.
Alright, I'll try an axe with 15% crit on it.
As mentioned, the bog is a giant organism, and thus it is gross. For example, this bulg sack was a pussy mess, and when I popped this one, a face hugger emerged and hugged my face. Classic stuff. The trowel I'd received was a new tool.
Okay, dig you out, and then feed you. And then you explode and give me jolly. Dug out some tuskers too.
Yes indeed, new biome, new myriad resources to collect. The way you scrape the green blues off the ground and feed them to the Jolly Chompers is truly wonderful stuff. And say hello to the first enemies of this squishy land.
Alright, we killed a Vommer and we got some Vlap. It's such an interesting mechanic. I gotta explode these things.
I ran around collecting for a while, grabbing some of this land's dirt too, and when I returned with some jollies for Grandmammy, Juicebox went bonkers as Hugaduku disabled the cameras and tracking devices on the stolen packages. And so we were forced to hunt them down the old-fashioned way. With that, I had a couple new quest destinations.
There's Gluganax to find some Broo-Boos, and then I gotta go to Bangsaw, Bulgsaw, to find one of those bald alien idiots. These Vommers literally just vomit all over you.
Very true, well observed. I roamed the Bulg, killing and collecting my fill of new materials, and many a Vommer suffered my wrath. The bigger Vommers took a bit longer to take down, but they weren't too much trouble. Before long, I had over 60 Vlaps, 20 Vompoles, and 10 Vommer baby makers. And upon reflection, I wish I didn't have any of those disgusting things, but the game is the game.
Can we make some new armor now?
The base next to the teleporter here had come with a ready-made Jolly Scope, a new tier of workstation, and I was indeed able to use it to craft up some new gear with the materials I'd been collecting.
Wrapping your hands in the loving Vlaps of a Vommer makes you feel warm, safe, and secure. It's definitely true.
I discovered some zappy trees I couldn't yet collect, and...
What's this? A Wojak Diggling? Screw you, Wojak Diggling.
The Wojaks burrow and burst forth from below. These splinters here were collectible using my trowel, and now that I'd wandered a little further, I guess Wojaks were on the menu along with the Vommers. And look here, even more enemy variety. Some floaty Throkes have joined the chaos. These things planted themselves in the ground and then shot their many tentacles up at me. I found my first tempered Vommer mama, and it was a bit of a beast, so defeating it took a little longer, but my effort was rewarded.
Oh, what's that? A Vommer egg? Is this a Broo-Boo? I think it is. This is an Oon. What are you doing all the way out here?
I protected Makalak and Oon from a Vommer onslaught.
Easy. I've already got 105 Vlap. Oon. Oon can sense what the Borg is feeling. Oon is a thresher. Oon was so low on the rank of Broo-Boos that she fell off.
Oon was a Broo-Boo outcast, rejected by her people, but she had a special connection to the Bog. She could sense its feelings, and apparently predict the appearance of Vomla the Bog Defender, who I defeated. Makalak asked me to gather some Bog flora, so I collected for a bit, including grabbing some of these yellow blech.
Need a better pickaxe to pick these weird things? What is that? A Snorble?
I took on the Snorble, which shot a bunch of green balls at me. I soon returned to Makalak with 10 blue, 10 blech, and 10 tuskers. He next wanted me to craft some potions for him, but before doing that, I continued collecting for a decent stretch just to stock up. I eventually returned to base where I crafted a cauldron, the schematic for which Makalak had given me, and I decided I better spruce up the new base a little. I also crafted and placed a Vommer incubator before heading east. I soon arrived at my destination of Gluganax.
Are you the rooster of Gluganax? This is Ukranakanax.
Alright, listen up. This used to be Gluganax, but the former leader was done away with by Ukrank. So now that Ukrank was in charge, it was called Ukranax. The Broo-Boos, as it turns out, have a cutthroat culture, where rank is everything. And one of the key ways you improve your rank is by destroying those that are a higher rank than you. For example, this Chickix character was worried Kroon was going to try and steal his rank, and Chickix decided to counter that by helping Rickrule, who is ranked right at the bottom, to take Kroon's rank. Except I immediately betrayed Chickix, and instead conspired with Rickroll to help Kroon displace Chickix.
Okay, we're gonna help these guys swap ranks with this little nerd.
Back at base, my Vommer arrived.
Bile butt.
And Rickroll had given me the schematic for the tier 3 saw, so now I could chop down a great many bog trees, including the nervers outside of Chickix's house. Somehow destroying these plants made Chickix lose his rank, so out of nowhere the entire hierarchy shifted, and now Rickroll and Kroon were attendants to the rooster Ukrank. I didn't really know what the hell was going on, but I was a big fan. The whole point of befriending these psycho chickens was to ask them if they knew where my lost packages were, but they weren't forthcoming with any info just yet, and instead they dumped a bunch of quests on me. Even the disenfranchised Chickix gave me a job to do. I headed out collecting with my new saw and immediately found Giblies, the target of one of my quests. I killed the Gibbler and unleashed some over-the-top trash talk.
Giblies, you suck, man. You useless nerd.
One quest done. I then finally realized what the facehugger panic mode actually is.
It makes me run faster though, I kinda like it.
I headed to Sarixinax, where my job was to steal this guy's house. What a wholesome quest.
You mad, bro?
Apparently, that tiny town with one dude in it had been a threat, but no more thanks to my thievery of his entire house.
Can make a Jack Weaver. Alright, new crafting station. I feel like I'm powering along now, man.
I managed to find a pretty juicy sword, but to make the next tier of armor, I needed to gather more materials, so out I marched. Some of the key things I needed were Wojak suckers and petals, so I spent all night and into day 46 fighting Wojaks.
We have word from Chickix.
Chickix wanted advice from this thresher Ziztik, who was quite close with the bog. He said that the bog mother believes Chickix to be too ambitious, and so he was destined to become a thresher too. And of course Ziztik whipped out another quest for me to complete as well. And so I spent the whole day killing 15 vommers. Once done, he next wanted me to kill 15 Wojaks. I told Chickix he was destined to become an outcast, which filled him with fear, as threshers are forced to brave the bog on their own, so he asked me to get him some supplies. I spent the night killing Wojaks, except not this particular Wojak.
Oh, damn it.
I got straight back into it, and I took on a Throke named which is an apt name for such a hideous creature.
Nice. Huh, that was a defeat 1,000 creatures achievement.
After killing a few more Wojaks, I returned to Ziztik.
I kill 15 Wojak for your Ziztik, you loon.
He next wanted me to blow up 20 Jolly Chomps, so Ziztik's questline was well and truly forcing me to stock up on a rather large volume of bog-tastic materials. I won't argue.
Oh, what's this?
I even found this random broken watch. I finally upgraded my gear, and I placed down a Wojak incubator, as one of the many Wojaks I'd murdered had dropped me an egg.
Get a trophy for all the bosses I've killed?
Very beautiful. I told Ziztik I'd blown up 20 Jolly Chomps, and something rose in the bog. It was 3 vommers, and then another vommer. This game really loves randomly spawning enemies on top of your head. The point was, there was something amiss in the bog, and a Ziztik quest chain earned me quite a nice schematic.
Turbo speed boost for 10 seconds.
I finally brought Makalak the healing potions he'd asked for, and he next sent me to meet up with the rest of the crew at Grand Mamapole. I then paid to Choo Choo a visit, and took out the rampaging Bubbles.
Why did you murder my Bubbles? We were saving you. Ukrank sent us to help you escape.
Alright, listen up. Apparently Ukrank was trying to rank swap with Choo Choo, and the murder of Bubbles the pet somehow would achieve that. Choo Choo also claimed that Ukrank actually held one of the 3 missing packages. There is so much deception and intrigue in the bog, it's hard to keep up.
This is Bubbles to replace the Bubbles I just murdered.
I immediately collected 3 Wojak spice from the domesticated Bubbles, which allowed me to craft a terrifying fetish. And to make up for the demise of the old Bubbles, I gave to Choo 2 stuffed Wojaks. He next wanted some lighting for his house, so I hoovered up the building pieces at this random location, and by the time I returned, I was beginning to think Choo just pretended to care about Bubbles in order to guilt trip me into decorating his home. But at least I got a good reward.
Oh, I just got an improved trowel.
And for the next quest, it was time to take out Ukrank, so my new best friend Choo could become Rooster. I picked up the terrifying fetish. It gives 50% move speed for 10 seconds on a 20-second cooldown. So I got rid of my stunning wrench from my action bar and decided to keep the fetish for improved mobility. And look at my damage numbers at this point. Not too bad. Ukrank was away on a trip, so I placed the snare on the spot where she usually stands. This is the most obvious trap ever, so let's hope it works. As reward for this treachery, Choo gave me the schematic for a bioloom, and when I returned to Ukranax, the snare had apparently worked because it was no longer Ukranax.
The disordered have returned. Welcome to Choo Nax. Yeah, we helped to Choo take over again.
And that is how I contributed to a violent Broo coup. Wonderful stuff, it really rolls off the tongue. Broo coup. And the package that Ukrank had been hiding was returned to me.
Alright, there's 1 out of 3 packages back. Good.
Ukrank had been working with Hugaduku, so good riddance. And suddenly I had a bunch more quests. I showed to Choo that broken watch I'd found a couple of days ago. He was very worried that I'd stolen it.
We gotta give it back to the Dusk Watcher or bring Ruin down.
So that was another quest, and my map was looking busy. I first headed to Grand Mamapole, which was still kind of empty.
Oh, here we go. This is what is it? A Clossum.
I'd made the tier 2 trowel by this point, so I was able to dig up Clossums now.
Need even better sword now. Oh, what are these guys? Whittle's Satgat.
And so I took out my first Satgat, who shot a bunch of green homing missiles at me. I needed a better sword to collect these little tufts of hair too, but I was at least able to find Bric-a-Brac and rescue him from a bunch of Wojaks. I hoovered up this ruin, and I next made my way to meet Kooks, except all Kooks had to say to me was my rise will be meteoric. I was impressed by his self-belief, but I was hoping he'd help me progress a quest, and then I remembered I was supposed to bring him a gift. So I gave up on that, returned to base, and made a bioloom, the next workstation, at which I crafted a handy perp torch for one quest, an upgraded sword and gloves made of Throke materials, and I was hoping to make the sack of lanterns Kooks wanted, but I couldn't find it anywhere at my current workstations. So I well and truly gave up on that, and began killing Throke so I'd be able to make more of the next tier of gear. I should mention that with so many quests piled up, whenever I was collecting stuff, I also slowly moved in the direction of quest locations, just to unlock waypoints and use my time as efficiently as possible. When I returned to Grand Mamapole, we used the building materials I'd claimed from that ruin to spruce up the place. And my next quest for the bald aliens was to help help break into the supply cache of Hugadukus. I somehow already had the 4 bombs they needed. I think I found them in a random chest, so we blew our way in. But there were more doors, password locked. But lucky for me, I guess the password was Hugaduku123. I claimed a chest full of goodies, and the intel we were after was encoded on this hologram of Hugaduku. So we took it back to Grand Mamapole for some code breaking.
Cracking on, boys. Got so many quests, man. I honestly don't know what quest I'm doing at any given moment because I'm just following stuff around the map.
It's true, I was just on the grind while playing, and I only had about 32% comprehension of what the hell was going on. But as voiceover Floydson, I must tell you not to worry. I'll make sure to include the quest and story highlights of Crashlands.
Clist. Can you get me electricity, mate?
He first needed 10 Wojak spice. By the way, with my combat build established, and what felt like more regular upgrades, the bog felt a bit easier than the savannah had been early game, as I was capable of taking out most of the enemies I'd counted so far reasonably quickly. I made my way to this secret outpost we'd learned about from Ukraink's dealings with Hugo, and I was pleased to claim all this Clossum. And I was surprised to see a Tendrum from the savannah locked up in here. When I snuck up on Hugo, he got jump scared and teleported away in fear, leaving behind the second lost package for us to claim back. What a skittish fellow.
We got the second package.
Hugo had locked up Django here to interrogate him about the lens and the crack-a-lacka, and the key to the cell had been fed to a snorble, so it was time for me to destroy some snorbles. I soon found the key and the tree goat was freed. It turns out he actually knew about the items Hugo was after.
Opens wormholes to other dimensions. Crack-a-lacka is a piece of tech from the ancients. Can crack open all kinds of stuff and suck out the energy.
Apparently, Hugo wanted to crack-a-lack all of the energy out of our packages in order to power his maniacal schemes. I received a pickaxe upgrade for my troubles.
Yeah, boy! I can make one already. Let's go.
Great news indeed. To figure out more about the crack-a-lacka, Grand Mammy sent us to chat with a Brubu.
I'm gonna go talk to Clist.
And she gave me a fishing pole upgrade.
I think I need the next work table to make the fishing rod. Everything's progressing so fast now. Okay, there's some bloob. I think with 8 bloob I can make the next workstation already. Oh, hello. Oh, holy dooly. Wait, what?
This weirdo told me lots of wonderful things.
Arch-jeweler, juicer of the things. The core of this planet is a big juicy ball. Approach with a pointy pinwheel. The arch-jeweler should be able to help me get electricity, also known as the juice.
I continued collecting. I found my first pins to dig up. I took on some pretty serious enemies, including a bloated snorble, which provided me with a bloated snorble essence, and I soon had a decent stockpile of bloobs, enough to craft the next tier of workstation. I made a sack-o'-lantern for that quest from ages ago, and an axe weapon upgrade, but I couldn't craft much more without some eyes. I then headed to the now fully established Grand Mamapole.
The Haast used to caretake the bog ages ago, and they worshipped giant demons? No, they worshipped the Inix.
So I needed to find a bunch of ancient relics, and...
Okay, there's like a billion quests in it, holy crap.
Collection quests, quests to go find someone, you know the drill. I was pleased to find more eyes, which I collected with my pickaxe from this handsome plant, and I had this to say about the sheer volume of quests on my plate.
You know?
I gave Kooks his sack-o'-lantern, and he agreed to move back to Chuchushnax.
That's an outrageous amount of quests.
I headed back to the savannah and used one of my old crafting stations to cook up a pinwheel, and I picked up some new gear made from snorble materials and new minables.
Look at the health on it, dude. Holy crap.
Yeah, these were rather juicy upgrades.
Suddenly my health is on 3,746. Yes, boy.
I extracted a snorble egg from this dead snorble. I fought a malicious throke, which was quite a battle, but it earned me some essence. And when I took on another malicious throke, the tentacles clearly came out way quicker.
Oh, what? Those came out way quicker.
I was pleased to find more eyes, as that seemed to be what I needed the most of, and I kept fighting enemy variants that dropped me essence, because essence can be used to craft evolution items for my pets. I brought 10 Wojak spice to Clist here.
Jollibabs are key. We use them as conduit. Okay, we got a recipe.
It was for the juice conduit trinket. And speaking of juice, I next went in search of the arch-jeweler.
Ramerl is the jeweler. Juicemancy is about managing the flow of juice. What the hell, dude? He was doing the Juicemancy and he summoned 57 nerds. They one-hit me. Using Juicemancy makes the critters around here get real riled up. Yeah, true.
Ramel sent me off to collect a bunch of crap with which we could stabilize the juice. I returned to the savannah and collected some charged malt from a zug, and had a cheeky harvest while there, why not? I killed many satgats, cause why not? And I tried to ask this dude for fishing secrets, but he blew himself up rather than giving up what he'd learned about fishing.
He blew himself up?
Except he dropped the recipe I was after when he died anyway. What a goose. I'd finally collected enough eyes to upgrade my fishing rod.
Fishing rod.
Aye aye, Captain. And I was able to upgrade some more gear too. Now that I was able to fish in the bog, my progression zoomed forward yet again.
I need to kill some Satgat and I can upgrade to the next workstation already.
I decided it was time to make a proper bog base. So I returned to the savannah to craft some floors and walls, and then got busy establishing my base with the savannah teleporter at the center. I made some potted clossum and got a little farm started, before heading out to collect fishing materials and many pieces of mutilated Satgat. I also made my way to this special pond where I was able to fish up some seerfish for Klist. By the way, I was still constantly finding schematics, slowly chipping away at collecting all 577.
Alright, Klist, I got you some seafish, dude. We see you.
We wanted Klist to tell us where the Crackalacka ruins are, but he did not know. However, with the help of a Lumi ball, Klist would be able to see where Hugo goes, and perhaps that would lead us to the Crackalacka ruins.
Kinda looks like a Segway. Segway. Welcome to the party, Segway.
I crafted yet another workstation with the Satgat materials I'd collected, and a Nematode blaster, which I whipped out to do some pretty solid cold damage.
Alright, I need a bunch of thrombite fibrin. What the hell is this?
I looked at my data bank for once to try and figure out how to get thrombite fibrin, but I couldn't figure it out, so I just got on with it and hoped it would pop up as I continued questing. I was at least able to make an axe, which made for a solid upgrade even though it wasn't a sword, which was of course still my fave weapon. I also finally made some fertile blocks, in which I planted some of the weird tree thingos of the bog, and I made the Lumi ball for Klist.
Ah, this is a thrombite. Okay, so I need to get whatever that is, and then I can probably get the thrombite thing that I need.
With my new weapon, my damage numbers were juicier than ever.
Okay, we got the big chunker axe. Feels good.
I brought the Lumi ball to Klist so he could track down Hugo.
What do you see? Where's the Kalakadak? The Shakalaka. He works with Clicks? Who's Clicks? Oh crap.
With that, I at least had a lead. I had to find Clixanax and the Bruboo Clicks, who had been dealing with Hugo. I killed a bunch more Satgats, as I needed their materials to make the next tier of armor, and the fact that weapon damage makes your items deal more damage made my combat power quite impressive. I then found Zahak.
Who goes? Is that you, Rumpelo? I'll stab your mustache right off.
Zahak wanted me to kill Rumpelo and bring him some gold, and then she'd consider returning to Chuchuchunax.
What is this thing? What are you?
This enemy type has absolutely glorious facial hair, nobody can deny. And Rumpelo was a big boy Bamley, who shot out some zappies and executed some shocktastic body slams. And even with my ever-increasing damage numbers, he took a fair bit of a beating before I was able to take him down.
6,400 crit.
I spent some time killing Bamleys, because I was no doubt gonna need the moustaches, horns, and bladders that they dropped to craft a future tier of items. And I eventually returned to Zahak.
A chunk of gold. Where did I get a chunk of gold from? I don't even know. That's fine.
I still have no idea where I got that gold, but with that I convinced Zahak to return to Chuchunax. I had my first bog harvest as day 57 dawned. I finally placed a Throke incubator, and I brought Ramil the various items he'd wanted to help control the juice.
So I just unlocked the juice forge. The juice forge. I haven't had an embiggening for so long. Embiggen. Woo! Woo! Allow you to harness the power of crystallized juice so you can modify your equipment. Oh, what?
I had to return to the savannah to collect Zugmalt again.
You've got to be tentacruel. You look just like a Pokemon. Yeah, I need to get some of this jelly off him. Bro, these things are so important. They use blech pods for everything.
I used the Zugmalt to craft the juice forge, and I'd been finding crystallized juice since the start of the game. And I'd had no idea what it was for, but now I finally knew.
11512. Okay. Oh, and it added some poison onto it. It made it legendary.
Yes, indeed. The juice can upgrade items and re-roll them too. Wonderful news. I made sure to fully upgrade my weapons from now on to maximize my damage output. I wasn't as committed to upgrading my gear because I didn't want to use up all my juice, and more health was definitely less important than more damage. By the way, I still had so many quests. I had no idea what was going on. For one quest, I placed a spy camera next to this outpost of Hugo's, one into Chuchunax and another into Kakanax. By this point, with my newly upgraded axe, I could absolutely demolish the strongest bomber variant in the bog. The follow-up to the spying quest was to steal a schematic from the outpost.
We got the Shively. We've got to tell Kroon what happened to Oon, and then Oon might help us with the outpost. Oon and Kroon and Chikku. It's just ridiculous. Okay, I told Oon of Kroon. Should I tell Oon about the fact that I told Kroon?
I finally gave this dingus some stuff for a quest. I told Oon about Kroon hearing about Oon. I don't know. And then I heard something interesting.
All the threshers gathered, and then the bog unleashed what cannot be named and an army of creatures. Everyone except myself and a few others was reclaimed by the bog.
I then found this group of threshers, all outcasts from mainstream Bruboo society. They sacrificed one of their own to the bog as I arrived. It was great stuff.
10% chance on melee attack to deal ice damage.
I made one of those, and a pedometer 2, which gives you a speed boost every 50 steps. And so I had some new trinkets to play around with. I liked the run speed one because coupled with my active run speed ability, I had 50% extra speed up most of the time.
Embiggen.
I brought the Thresher colony some building materials to level up their base, and collected even more decorations for them from this ruin. And with that, they were ready to tell me more about the one who cannot be named.
It's a massive beast of many segments and of endless hunger. Her mouth had teeth and flame. Her body a spout of acid and other monstrosities. It's too frightening. My ear holes will bleed. Its name is Jessica. Yeah, of course.
I immediately guzzled some elixirs to buff myself and my pet, and I headed to Jessica's lair. Apparently they'd taught this monstrosity to expect an offering of a delicious brew sacrifice once per week, so it wasn't hard to lure her out. She did indeed have a body of multiple segments, but on the plus side, that meant all the area damage I was doing hit her 4 times over, and it felt like I was dominating.
Jessica's kind of handsome, you know.
It wasn't too much trouble to bring her down to half health, as Big Slap was of course popping off too. For phase 2, she whipped out some lunges as she tried to bite my face off, but it was pretty much more of the same until sections of her body began falling off, and eventually I was in a battle with just the head.
Jessica, you suck.
Boofka. Another boss defeated. I received a glorious reward for my efforts.
Reduces cooldowns of all items by 15%.
The idea of having spice injected into my eyeball is a scary one, but 15% shorter cooldowns on my active items is nuts. Even better, it got a pretty cool bonus roll on it.
When I crit, my item cooldowns are reduced by half a second. That is crazy. If I can go for a sword crit build, that is a big upgrade. There's a big upgrade there. A big upgrade there.
This trinket shaved 3 seconds off my run speed item and about 2 seconds off all my damage dealing items, which contributed to a pretty significant DPS increase. This Jolly Chomp had half of the Inix relic in it. I cleared this quadrupie outpost of a few nasty beasties. I continued hoovering everything up, and I finally made my way to Clicks, who was supposedly broking deals with Hugaduku.
Hey Clicks, just checking in. How's that voting been? Oh boy. What is this? I turn my back for 1 second, you start double dealing. And with these two jerks that like to startle people? Yeah, sorry about that.
With that, Hugo decided to laser disintegrate these 3, which seemed a little drastic. Ooks here wanted this spot anyway, so I guess it was just as well those 3 had been removed. It was time for Ooks to start his thrombite fibrin industry.
Oh, the thrombo pump. Give me one of those. Let's go.
Yeah, thrombo pump.
Should I make a shock guard? Yeah, let's make a shock guard. It's gonna take 5 minutes though. Can we do it now? We can.
You can whack a thrombo pump right on there.
Oh, you turn any of these into... Oh, okay. Yeah, build as many as we can, man.
And so I was finally producing some thrombite fibrin. Except I was supposed to give the thrombo pump to Ooks, not place it myself, so I had to make another one. Nonetheless, getting some fibrin prompted a crafting spree. And I did some upgrading too, massively improving my gear and pushing my health above 7,000. My shock guard was also ready. And this time I actually gave the thrombo pump to Ooks, progressing the never-ending quest lines. I tried out the shock guard. It imbues your next 3 melee attacks with extra shock damage.
Holy dooly. Okay, that does a lot of damage.
I took on my first Bogblood Throke, the Premium Throke, and the quests took me full circle to talk to Chuchu, who taught me how to craft a Granville. And when I already had more quests than necessary, I ran into Carter. Remember her from the Savannah? She likes to make you place signs all over the map. I'm not even going to show you all the quests I did for her. I can't be bothered. Just know that I placed 4 or 5 signs in random spots on her behalf.
Carter. Smells.
When I returned home, I collected 2 very nice upgrades. The Plague Injector drops clouds of poison on the floor, but the nice part about it is it drops 1 on every nearby target, meaning the damage buildup is of course strong against many targets, as you'll see soon enough. I found the other half of the Inix artifact here, and my new saw allowed me to collect these bone spurs, which also yielded spur gold. So now I finally knew how to find gold. And so I was on the hunt for as many bone spur toothy thingos as possible, and these little hairs too, which I could also collect with my new saw. I found a Satgat egg, I fought many enemies, and it seemed I was now up to the task of fighting even the toughest opponents of the bog. And
Backflip. It's my friend.
you may recall Backflip was possessed by Plagoo, and now he was here as Plagoo wanted to set up a satellite office in the bog. But the bog didn't appreciate that, so I was attacked by about 700 Snorbles. And when I helped build a base for them, even more enemies appeared.
Oh, for goodness sake, dude. What is going on?
I received the Idol of Plagoo schematic for helping them get established. With the gold I'd been collecting, I was finally able to craft a Granville, and more gear made out of mostly Bamley and Bone Spur materials, which I also upgraded. And I also placed down a Bamley incubator, the final pet for this area.
Segway is evolving into a... I can have automation in my farm. Your name is definitely Buzz. That's your name for sure. Tentacruel is evolving. Lovely.
These pot slappers do indeed help to somewhat automate farming, as they instantly collect from the 8 adjacent tiles. I repositioned my pots to make the most of this.
Love it. Alright, let's welcome this idiot. Master Yoshi from Dragon Ball.
I made a bunch of saggy potions to keep up with my healing needs, turned in a quest for fishing up 30 coral, and headed to this location with the restored artifact I'd collected, along with an offering of 20 eyes. And surprise, surprise, the Inix turned out to be a boss fight.
You are not Hast. Where are the Hast?
The Hast were an ancient race that used to protect the bog before being wiped out, and the Inix worked for them to also protect the bog. And even though I was trying to help the bog, it considered me an alien threat, so combat commenced.
What is this? What the hell?
The Inix like to do lots of these ones with the balls flying in from all over the place.
That's a big ball. That's a big stinky ball. I'm owning him, by the way. How much damage I'm doing. We're just trying to get some help, man. We want to protect the bog. Protect from whom? From Hugaduku, man.
But the Inix could not be reasoned with. It saw us as a threat, and so it wanted to fight. It ramped up its shenanigans in phase 2, but it's true that I was dealing lots of damage, and soon the Inix was brought low.
You can help us. You don't have to fight. Help me, you funny looking cat. Tell me, was this Hugaduku wearing a chin strap and a helmet? Yeah. He is Viru. Oh! Hugaduku is Viru? So why are we still fighting?
Viru is the one who destroyed the Hast in the first place. So we shared a common enemy, and yet the Inix insisted on finishing the fight. And so I had to kill it dead. And that was the end of a huge quest chain for Grand Mammy. But I still had so many flamin' quests, I was beginning to lose my mind.
My quests just aren't going down.
This is when I began to properly understand the stacking power of my Plague Bearer's poison.
Is that stacking? I think it is stacking. It's doing crazy damage. They're all on top of each other. Look at the poison damage go nuts. Beautiful.
I fought and collected all night long.
Let's get some serious AoE going, baby. Ready? Boom. Poison! Yeah! Woo! Jolly! Oh, that's not, yeah, that's good.
I did a whole bunch of quests for these dudes here, including helping them build their glorious golden house, and I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't be bothered scripting out all of the details of this, but basically we found evidence of a tumor. And yes, this is the important part. The bog had a tumor.
The bog has a competing mind growing in it. We must end this creature before it can further infect the bog.
I also helped Ooks secure a trade agreement with Grand Mammy, so that they could profit from their now up and running Thrombite fibrin business.
Harvest? Boom. Boom. Yeah.
Fortunately, Grand Mammy was receptive to the trade deal.
Okay, they're gonna have a trade deal. It's nice. A little bit of peace between the nerds and the other nerds, you know what I mean? I got so many random recipes here.
I tested this one out, an arrow that pushes you. I guess you could use these to make a transport system if you wanted. I also placed down all my golden boss statues again, and I spiced up my farm area a little. I crafted another item and upgraded it at the Juice Forge, so I now had over 10,000 health. And with the trade deal made official, these guys added some roads.
Ah, we just established trade on the bog between the little bird weirdos and the flying, floating tree idiots. So clearly that's a win for civilization. And we want to make the idol of Plague. That'll make my poison AoE even more impressive. Idol of Plague Poo.
I decided to replace the shock prod, which had been giving me a 10% chance to do shock damage. The extra poison damage on my Plague Bearer was definitely the better choice. I made a Goldie Bank, which I took to Syrinxanax. This is the guy whose house I'd stolen right out from under him, but a golden piggy bank smoothed everything over and he agreed to move back into Tuchuchunax. Finally, Tuchuchunax was full of brew-boos, and I received an intriguing schematic.
It gives you the power of flight? Is that a quest chain done, by the way? Yes! The quest log is getting emptier, finally.
The blimp sack does indeed let you fly. I just needed to find a legendary drop from a Snorble in order to make it.
Poison. Boom. Big poison damage. Look at that! Look at that! Oh! It's beautiful! So many mustached idiots just got poisoned out the wazoo.
The never-ending deluge of quests may have been doing my head in, just slightly, but I was having fun with the combat.
Look at these samples, Tixie. Something's wrong. Graham. Okay.
These wonderful people were going to help me deal with the bog's tumor.
You can find the scent and go to the source. Okay, we need to find the source of the tumor.
They first wanted mucus sacs from a domesticated Snorble, so I grabbed some of those. I needed Satgat chemoreceptors too, which is an uncommon drop, so I got busy killing every Satgat I laid eyes on. I made my way to Duskwatcher's Lake, where I did away with some interlopers.
What is this place? Grubby. What the heck? Blaghe. Hey, thanks for clearing out those enemies. I've been stuck up there for ages. Want to buy something? Are you the Dusk Watcher? The what? Oh, right. Yeah, that's me. Oh, you're the one that wants the clock we found or whatever. What do we find? I can't remember. What do we do with the old watch parts? It's not exactly a watch. Restore its power by building some doodads from dusk crystals, then lube it up with some concentrated jolly juice.
Seems reasonable to me. I realized I needed nectar sites from Throaks for another quest, so all Throaks were kill on sight as well. The 20th nectar site I needed dropped early on day 68, so I moved on to targeting exclusively Satgats. Except not really, because I was also keen to get the legendary blimp drop from a Snorball.
Isn't that a juice jockey ship? Where? Oh, there. The ship belonged to an unpaid intern. The Bureau sent her close to Wonope to investigate reports of a juice surge.
Unpaid interns always get the crappy jobs. Where is the justice in this world? I turned in the 20 Throke nectar sites to Zistik, who sent me to hunt down these 3 goobers. Sim, Bai, and Oat. That was another quest chain done. By the way, I was receiving quite a few trinket and device schematics that I opted not to craft because I was happy with what I already had. I placed some torches to commemorate the untimely death of the unpaid intern, and Juicebox detected the signal to some lost cargo, where I picked up this orb. The orb did some of these ones, which I thought was pretty cool.
Okay, it's pretty good, except that I was too busy watching the numbers and I died. It's not bad. Oh, what's this? Oh, that's a new biome, right? Yeah, that'll take me to a new biome. The next biome is a tundra.
I decided to replace the shock guard with my new spinny lasers. I turned in a bunch of Throke materials to this baldy, and suddenly I was down to just 3 quests. A modern miracle.
And upgrade the Vommer. Come on, Bile Butt. I don't remember calling him Bile Butt, but that's a good name for a Vommer. I approve. I approve of my past actions. And billions! I mean chocolate, I wish up. Okay, we're good.
I made this grumbler for Tachuchu, and I was finally given the location of the Crakalaka ruins.
This is the site of an ancient battle where someone named Lumps was defeated, and I might find like treasures there. This is the Crakalaka ruins where supposedly I'll find the 3rd package that I've been looking for. And I also need some loot from Satgats, so I might as well just try and get the loot from the Satgats on the way.
Yes indeed, I still needed more Satgat chemo receptors. Since Bilebutt was now fully upgraded, he was a bit of a beast as he vomited all over the place. He was strong enough to rival even the glory of Big Slap, so I actually kept Bilebutt with me long term and let Big Slap have a rest for once. Things got a little dicey when I fought these enormous Satgats, but even they did not drop chemo receptors.
The Satgat, whatever I'm looking for, is so rare. Oh, I can get potted pins now, finally.
I'd been using pins to make potions, so it was nice to finally be able to farm them. Just as I arrived at the Crakalaka ruins, I found the mother of all Satgats, a desaturated one, and a big army of little Satgats were here too. I killed all the smaller ones, finally earning my 9th and 10th chemo receptor.
I don't think I can be bothered killing that thing, it's got so much health. This is your end, this. See what I did there? Got Vommer on Vommer action here.
Dat was the 2nd enemy of the Crakalaka ruins, and the 3rd was Ant. The 4th was Unatha, and the 5th was Thane. They all went down under the weight of my huge biceps, and also Bilebutt's vomit.
Nice. Okay, that's all the enemies.
And Hugo arrived to cause a ruckus.
He wants to Crakalaka the package. Crakalaka something else, bro. I need my package.
I would indeed prefer it that no one interfere with my package in any way. Least of all to Crakalaka it. Hugo had some new tricks since I'd last faced off against him in the savannah. Basically new variants of laser beams.
I can do that too, bro. I can do that too. Oh, what the hell's hitting me? Ah! What is that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? What is that? Had enough yet, Hugaduki? What is this thing? Oh, my Vommer just ran into it?
Hugo ramped up the laser silly willies for phase 2, and I ran around like a goose on the loose while Vommer vomited up a storm, slapping down the bile right on top of Hugo's silly purple noggin. He had a period where he chilled out on the lasers for a bit, which was a bad plan on his behalf, because I just hacked away at him.
We're good, we're good. The move speed is actually clutch. Do we win? I'll let you borrow your stupid battery for now. Ah, Crakalaka attack. He took the Crakalaka with him. But we got the last package.
Just then, the Bureau of Shipping was set to arrive on planet for our rescue.
Bring the packages for immediate extraction. Coordinates pushed to your map. Bureau of Shipping out.
I placed 2 potted pin farm setups here, and I finally bought the chemo receptors to these tumor chasers, and we were able to track the source.
Give me the legendary thing. Oh, I got it. I actually got it. All you gotta do is ask. So easy.
We traced the tumor all the way to here, and even further to here. I returned home to stock up on healing potions, and I picked up my blimp, plus a weapon I'd been able to craft after finding a legendary root from harvesting a bone spur.
I mean, so much more damage. 30-second cooldown. Lasts for 10 seconds. What happens if I let go of my blimp while I'm in above the water? Oh, it just doesn't go away. Except, yeah, that's interesting.
As you may recall, I'm not the biggest fan of hammers, but it's the DPS number that impacts the damage of your active items. So I was more than happy to use this hammer's way higher DPS. And finally, we found the source of the tumor.
Oh dear. That's a big boy.
You cannot stop us. We grow stronger with every beat of the bog heart.
You got an interesting accent, Tumor.
Oh, you are too late, littling. We are multitudes.
I have no idea what's happening.
This big tumor idiot didn't do much, and I absolutely chunked through its health pool.
I'm absolutely owning him. What the hell?
I think fighting this thing after getting the best weapon in the area made it pretty straightforward.
We defeated the tumor.
With that, I had just one quest left to complete.
Let's go get this lumps business done.
The lumps business featured a maze. I tried to use my blimp to cheat, but sadly it did not let me fly over the walls. So I ran through the old-fashioned way, claiming the chests as I went.
What is this? The bubbler.
This was all there was to find at these old ruins, but it was quite an interesting one.
These little guys seem to endlessly reproduce through mitosis. Every 20 seconds a new bubbly appears and follows you. If it gets close to an enemy, it will explode for 200% of your DPS.
Go on, bubbler. Explode.
2 managed to spawn, and they blew up on these snorbles, so I decided I was a big fan and kept that trinket on. And finally the bog was complete, and it was time to meet up with the rescue ship.
Hey, Bureau buddies. What's up, man?
Flux, you look different. Are you wearing a combination of animal skin and plant parts?
Yeah.
They picked up the packages into their safekeeping, but it turns out there was some bad news.
We're just here to pick up the packages. Corporate policy. The BS shipper rescue ship will be here in a few weeks. For goodness sake. Your power suit can serve almost all necessary life functions almost indefinitely. That's too many almosts. Corporate will be corporate. Yeah, crazy days, huh?
And so we were left behind.
We finally got the packages sorted. I kind of feel bad about leaving Flux down there. Actually, I bet we could fit her in if we...
That was a coffee in the face in defense of corporate policy.
So we could have fit in, but it's corporate Okay, Hugo killed them anyway. Are they gonna land in the tundra? And we're gonna have to rescue them?
I even used my slowest laser and they couldn't dodge it.
Yeah, it did. It crashed in the tundra. When I finally bring the chick rub, you'll wish you would join my side. What the heck's the chick rub? Off to colder pastures, the cracker-lacka would get way too hot in the bog while burning through these batteries.
These silly gooses once again arrived too late to see any of the action, and once again we'd lost the packages in a new land.
The chick rub were destroyed by the Polari long ago. It's one of the oldest legends shared by all the races. The sky broke, the ground shook, out of the air poured creatures all mouth and hook.
So Hugo wanted to use the cracker-lack on our packages, to get the power to use the lens that he was hoping to find and fix, to summon a chick rub queen from somewhere, with which I guess he wanted to conquer the planet Wonope. Alright then, off to the tundra to stop all of that from happening, I guess.
When spirits burst, we whet our thirst with minds sharply honed. Heading to the tundra. I think this is the third and final biome. We made it. It's a Wajum. Okay, we got a new race of weirdos here.
These are the Polari, native to the tundra, and they were suspicious of us, especially because Skyfire had recently fallen nearby. We explained that we were fighting Hugaduku, and we deduced this Skyfire was probably the Bureau's ship crashing down. They accepted that, and since they too were anti-Hugo, they helped us out by giving me the Shirk Beak pickaxe schematic.
Look at this business, man. Oh, is that a Shirk? Yeah, I need your beak. Give me your beak.
Yes, indeed, I was gonna need Shirk beaks to make a Shirk beak pickaxe. The Shirks like to zoom about, and these little ones went down quickly.
Okay, so we got Shirks, we got Glacier Fawns. Look at these things.
The Glazers shoot lasers from their glorious antlers. The beautiful sights and sounds and violence of a brand new biome. Butt and I continued exploring, killing a few more Shirks.
First things first is to get the new pickaxe so that I can actually collect stuff in this new area.
So I teleported back to the Bulg and hit up the Granville at my base there.
Bushka. A new pickaxe. Okay, we're getting some fur grasp there. These things explode though. Got some spireg. Ow!
There was plenty to collect, so collect I did. Some stuff here required a higher tier trowel, and the smash blossom trees were a little violent. But as they say, new biome, new collecting spree required. I then finally spoke to the crashed Bureau dudes.
They lost the packages?
Wajum here continued to help me out, giving me the shred basket schematic, and the tundra quests began, as I was asked to collect 10 strange tufts from the fur grasps. I collected and fought, and I may have enraged a few glazers in the process. I kept at it all day and into the night.
Oh. I thought he was stunned.
That death put me back here where I picked up another quest, and the Polari aren't as crazy as the Brubus, but they do beatbox to communicate with each other over long distances, so that's quite impressive. I continued hoovering up materials. I found this icy area and a weird lumpy thing that I couldn't yet collect, and I fought my first slurbs.
Ah, what the heck, man? No slurbs.
The slurbs like to jump at you, no doubt about it.
Managed to defeat some slurbs.
I chose to avoid this big glazerbuck for now though.
What is that? Fungus? Flungus. Found a flungus. I need a flail pod.
I found some flail pods, but I needed a better saw.
Oh, what is this? A liff. Whoa! What's it doing? It's going blah, 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 blah.
The lifts have rather outrageous tongues, and they do like to wiggle them with high-pitched screams of insanity.
Well, I can beat all the crappy versions of the enemies I've found so far. That's a grey-bearded glazer. Huge.
Now that I had the lay of the land, I made the call to establish myself with a proper base early on in my time here. I began planning out a layout, and once again I made the teleporter here the centerpiece. Back in the bog, I crafted a shred basket workstation with materials I'd collected in the tundra, and I considered keeping my bog and savanna bases as they were for posterity, but ultimately decided I should consolidate all my bases into one mega base. So I got busy sucking absolutely everything up. First, the savanna base disappeared, and the one in the bog until there was nothing left. And nothing left to do except establish my glorious kingdom in the tundra. I placed all the workstations, in order from lowest tier to highest, up here at the top of the base. Below the teleporter, I placed all my pets, and over here, a little spot for my juice forge and cauldron. To the right, I began planning out my farm, with savanna farm plots, bog farm plots, and my first 4 tundra farm plots. I placed all the potted plants too. I planted some crops.
And then depending on how many more potted plants I need to get, we'll expand out further.
I crafted more pot slappers and a bunch of gem lamps. And I continued sprucing up the place with some lighting.
And I guess later I can build like just a more decorated area over to the left.
But for now, I was done. I managed to make a chest piece out of tundra materials, which I upgraded all the way to legendary, and I figured out what else I needed to make more of this new tier of gear. Smash blossom trunks were high on the list, but
We basically just need everything.
so I got busy. I gave the 10 strange tufts to Wajum, and he sent me off to seek out Kroon. I soon had more gear crafting, before heading west to look for the Central Podguard, where I found Chica, the bard of Central Podguard. I guess he's a bard in theme with the Polari being musical, beatboxing, and all that good stuff. It's a good theme for their race, I guess, but I must admit I was missing the backstabbing shenanigans of the Brubus back in the bog.
Long ago, the Polari found the lens deep in the ocean, shattered, but such a powerful object could not be truly destroyed. Even split into 3 shards, it thrummed with power. Those shards the Polari have kept secret and under guard ever since.
And of course, Hugo had arrived to bully the Polari into giving him these shards. In fact, one of the shard's protectors had gone radio silent, or beatbox silent, I guess, so Chica sent me to check in on them. He also gave me the schematic for an upgraded trowel.
We're back on the quest grind, baby.
And look at this beautiful base. Except these zappy plants were flamin' noisy. I probably should not have planted those. Too noisy. Get out of here, noisy trees.
Put Jolly Pops in here instead.
I claimed my newly crafted gear, and I upgraded my trowel too, using glazer antlers. And it was crazy to see how easily this new sword outstripped the damage numbers of my legendary hammer. Once upgraded, it had over 400 more DPS. I used my trowel to collect parapods and boreols. I flexed my new improved damage numbers, and my health had ballooned to over 16,000 too. The trowel was also capable of popping the top off these geysers.
Yeah, land on that guy. Huge!
These gave me a bunch of geyser slurry. They were excellent at damaging slurbs, and they yielded the occasional diamond too. I also got one of these ones.
Some fanged stranglers. No, don't steal my dirt. I wanted that dirt, you dirt stealer.
I took on a glazer buck, which I thought was bold, but he was actually pretty easy, especially since his laser moves rather slowly. But you get the idea. I was stocking up on all the goodies. I also dug up one of these.
Hardcore.
I arrived at Kroon's little shack.
How do we use the static in these strange tufts as a Polari weapon?
He said he'd help if I got him some gold walls and floors with which to spruce up his currently unimpressive abode. Alright, back to the grind. By the way, look how terrifying my new set of armor looks. Lovely stuff.
7 more hardcores and I can make the next workstation.
And so I went on the hunt for hardcores.
An ice maze? What nonsense is this? The gastro pestle. The amount of health extra is crazy for each upgrade now.
Along with those pants, I crafted some gloves, but to make more than that, some more collecting was in order. I found some bushes I couldn't yet cut down. I decided to face tank a giant laser.
Oh my gosh. That was a fail.
And as day 77 dawned, I made my way to where some Polari defenders held one shard of the fabled lens. I was very happy to steal the abundance of hardcore they had growing out front. In the fight against Hugo, they wanted me to bring them chairs so they could sit. Inspirational. Grandmammy finally showed up, and she wanted me to set up her Grandmammy headquarters in the tundra. I harvested these bone spurs I'd planted because I desperately needed gold with which to make Kroon some golden housing, and I crafted a couple of antler chairs for these dinguses. They next wanted some smashy heel bevs. I made a pressure cooker, the final tier of cooking workstation, and I made a bunch of them heel bevs, some for the Polari and some for me. Parapods were looking to be integral to progression, since the heel bev potions required them, among other things, so I slapped down as many into pots as I could. I gave these fellas the bevs and returned to Chica, who said the next thing we needed in the war effort was metal, and he believed metal could be collected from inside Geyser slurry. We just needed to make a slurrifier. I made one out of slurb parts and plants, and placed it down.
Geyser gives slurry, and then I clean it up using parapods. And it gives me a bunch of metal.
So I was definitely gonna need a lot of those parapods. I set out collecting them, and Smash Blossom trunks too, because you need those to make pots. I kept at it into day 78, and once I'd collected a bunch, I got some potted parapods crafting, before getting straight back out there and stumbling into this fine individual Voom, for whom I had a gift. With that, I continued to earn the Polari's trust, and they continued giving me quests. Though not as many quests as back in the bog, at least so far, for which I was grateful. I expanded out my farm to accommodate more potted parapods, I continued processing slurry, and after a short wait, I'd unslurried all the metal Chica was after.
You return with the carbone from the slurrifier.
With access to metal, I could now upgrade my fishing pole, and with it catch food to fuel the Polari war effort. As you can see, I'd domesticated a shirk by this point. I named it Flappy because I'm very creative, but I had not domesticated a glazer yet, and I needed to pluck some silk from a domesticated glazer in order to craft the new fishing rod. So it was time to kill some glazers and hope for an egg.
You ready to die? Are you ready to die, Holka?
Holka was the target of a quest, so I happily took him out.
Okay, I defeat Holka. What is this?
That is the genie lamp I was collecting from Holka for that quest. My guess is these little glazers only have a tiny chance to drop an egg, or perhaps they can't drop eggs at all, but I killed them regardless.
I killed the big fella.
I wondered if the dude with the genie lamp could use the genie's wish to defeat Hugo, but I don't think it was actually magical.
He uses as steep as tea. Oh, for goodness sake.
And I spent much of day 79 hunting glazers, or vice versa. 1 glazer, 2 glazer, 3 glazer, 4 glazer, and some bloke named Floydson who is quite the rager.
Why am I stuck? Why am I stuck? I couldn't move.
No luck finding an egg, but I did manage to make my way to the ideal location for Grandmammy HQ. Except it was occupied by a slurb named Krill, so I had to kill Krill. Slurbs aren't too bad, because if you keep on the move, you should be able to avoid the big slaps, but Krill definitely had a fair bit of health.
Jack and Brick-a-Brack are here. Yeah, my favorites.
And so the quests to continue establishing the headquarters flooded in. One of them involved finding a demon that lives in the geysers, which sounded exciting. I cut about killing stuff, and I added lifts to my list of targets, because why not?
Why you bring a Brubu here, man?
Makalak had brought Un with him, and this Polari Baboom was suspicious, which is fair because Brubus are maniacs. But Baboom admitted he might be kicking up a fuss due to his hangriness, so I agreed to get him some fish to eat. But I of course still needed a domesticated glazer to even make the rod. Fortunately, I didn't have to wait long for an egg to drop.
Yes, we got the glazer egg.
I harvested, placed down the glazer incubator once it was crafted, and as always, these take 5 minutes to incubate. So I decided to head back to the bog while I was waiting and use the time to find the remaining gold I needed. It didn't take long, and I was soon crafting 10 gold walls to go with the 10 gold floors I'd crafted earlier. And I was prioritizing planting smash blossoms as I needed their trunks for heaps of stuff, including smashy heel bevs, which I tugged down anytime I took damage in combat. I also expanded out my farm some more, making space for some potted hardcores to go down.
You don't can just be angry, because you look angry. That's an inspired name. Let's get a few of these. I need 1 for my fishing rod.
Finally, the rod was in my hands.
Look how much this heals. 125,000. Pipe dirt pipe. Magmite worker.
Obviously, it was time to go fishing. However, there was a disturbing lack of fishing spots, so I had to run around like a goose on the loose to find them.
Yes. A fishing spot. Very good. Very good fishing spot.
I was going to need a bunch of goodies from the water, so I was determined to fish up a storm. And in my quest to achieve this, I was using flooring to bridge out over the water, until I found a flying shrine, which helped my quest out dramatically. Back at base, I made use of Harvest Bomb Mark IVs to collect the Smash Blossom. I hadn't used Harvest Bomb since the Savannah, but Smash Blossoms were so annoying to harvest that I decided it was a must.
Laser leash. Oh, I should make this. This is interesting. Let's make the laser leash.
How do I make the next workstation?
I don't think I can make the next workstation.
I thought I didn't have the recipe for the next workstation, but I did. I just missed it because I'm a goose.
So we can do lots of slurrifying, so I think I should do as much as I can just to get all of these resources.
The flying shrine earlier had reminded me of my blimp, so this is where I started regularly using the ability to switch loadouts. I'd switch, use the blimp item to start flying, and then switch back, and this made it easy to get to any hard to reach fishing spots.
Alright fella, I got you some golden goodness. There you go. Boom. Beautiful.
Kroon gave me a schematic for Electro Fuzz Knuckles as a reward. My laser leash was ready to go, so I gave it a whirl, and it did solid damage, but it was a bit of a headache to use effectively. It was a bit ungainly. I took on a Royal Glazer, which was quite a mission as it soaked up a rather absurd amount of damage, but I got there eventually and claimed a Royal Glazer essence. And when I was collecting Slurry, I came upon a silly beast.
Oh, what is this? What is this? Hello? Hey, we got the demon skin. I can make that legendary.
I gave Baboom his fish, and his hangriness subsided. He next wanted coral dusters, which I also had ready to go as I'd done a fair bit of fishing. And with that, Makalak and Oon were allowed to go.
HQ's filling up.
Yes, indeed, it was looking quite nice, and more quests rolled in.
Grand Mammy, your HQ's ready. Go.
I placed more potted hardcores, blew up a bunch of Smash Blossom, and crafted a bunch of Smash Blossom walls for a quest. I also made the poorly repaired Shirk Egg using 6 essence, and soon witnessed a glorious embiggening. I didn't really care too much about embiggenings though, because I was quite happy with Bile Butt. I got the demonic boots crafting too. I met Blaham, who was looking after the Polari children. He asked me to kill a bunch of Shirks he was worried about. I killed this bunch of Shirks, but that was for another quest as I tested out a bomb on them. And I decided to get rid of the laser leash and resumed using my spinning lasers instead, as they seemed to be the better option. The follow-up to the Shirk bombing quest was to collect 15 slurb magnets, because Flak wanted to try and make a bomb that returns back to be reused after each explosion. Grand Mammy also arrived at HQ, and she of course gave me a fishing related quest.
Legendary.
The demonic boots had a lot of firepower, which makes sense, but I didn't use my flamethrower anymore, so this wasn't as useful as I'd hoped. But an upgrade is an upgrade. I began targeting slurbs in hopes of having some magnets drop, but I soon learned the magnets are pretty rare, and I'm pretty sure they don't drop off the little ones. I soon arrived at the location where the second shard of the lens was kept, but it wasn't looking great.
Oh, the shard. Hugaduki got the shard?
And apparently the other shard location was currently under attack as well, and my help was urgently needed. Instead of going to help, I leisurely fished for a bit, I farmed for a bit, which was very relaxing, and I made a realization regarding my gooseness.
This is a workstation. I just thought this was I don't know what I thought this was. This is a workstation. I could have upgraded my gear.
Crafted from slurry metal and fishies, I suddenly had the workstation upgrade I'd been missing. The gear from it was mostly made out of metals and slurb materials, so I was able to get some upgrades. The sword I ended up with had more than double the DPS, which is just bonkers, and my health shot up above 35,000 as well. The numbers were suddenly getting rather large, which was kind of ridiculous, but I do like big numbers, so I wasn't complaining. Suddenly, I could take out these big fellas twice as fast.
Gert Wort Shirk, Jers. The most vicious Shirk around, okay?
I was sent to kill this fearsome Shirk, and it turns out he was not fearsome. I got a high five from Bric-a-Brac, who loved the demon foot wraps, which I'd already stopped using because of my recent upgrades, but it's fine. And when I returned to Blaham, he'd lost all the kids. What a goose. It wasn't Jers that was looming, it was some other beast. And Blaham thought the strange tufts found on furgrass plants might belong to the kidnapper, so he sent me to show the tufts to an expert. Oon was worried the bog was chasing him here, and sure enough, I found a random patch of bog, so I covered it up with Smash Blossom floors. Oon immediately sent me to cover up another bog invasion, and on the way I found this glorious chest with sleepless slurb essence in it. My guess was that belonged to the Apex Slurbs, which I hadn't seen yet, let alone defeated, so this was a good find.
Some bog monsters have come through. Get him.
I did indeed get him.
Huge. Alright, now we gotta block this all off.
It cost a lot of Smash Blossom trunks to make all these floors, so it's just as well I was farming Smash Blossom trees back at base.
You gotta contain the bog. You gotta make sure the bog doesn't spread.
Bog outbreak contained. Another job well done. I took on a monstrous slurb, and just as well I'd gotten some huge upgrades because even still, this fella took ages to kill. And he actually dropped one of the magnets I needed, so big slurbs would kill on sight from now on.
Blaham's calves got stolen by something with fur like this. It's fur from a pateti. They've not been seen in these parts for ages. A pateti? An old beast of the tundra.
The pateti were thought long extinct, but let me tell you, not so. He literally lives right next door to my gold-obsessed Bruboo friend, Kroon.
The calves. We found him. Where's the pateti? Oh, the pateti's a boss? Aroo! Okay. Ah! What are these things? I can kind of just run around and my Grumpus, what's his name? Bilebutt? Bilebutt just owns. Look at him go. He's doing so much damage. Rahoo! Ah! This thing's terrifying. I love it. Oh gosh, I'm getting owned. I just
got zapped in the face by a potato. The little triangle of ice that spins around him slows you, so it's unwise to get hit by it. This time I was more careful, although an enormous glazer gate crashed the party.
No, not you. You're not invited.
It lost interest at some point for some reason, and I managed to avoid most of the Potetti's ice and laser shenanigans, and victory was mine, and the younglings were saved.
Oh, jibbo.
I found another chest, and I got a lovely reward for saving the infants.
Cute totem.
After defeating that boss, I was inspired to plonk down my golden boss statues, so I did.
This thingamabob will punch a hole in fertile frost, digging a permanent geyser. They would just add that to the bosses.
What a cute totem. I made some of those geyser drill thingos and placed them here, and it said they'd be ready in 15 minutes. I properly set up the area, enjoyed a harvest, and went back on the hunt for more slurbs.
Wishing on a whale's tail beats hearken from the deep, a whole pod for the grail, rest in abyssal sleep.
This is the fishing expert Grandmammy wanted me to talk to, and he wanted me to make him a boombox so he could record his songs, and then he'd consider talking. And this is that shard guard pod I was supposed to help like 3 days ago. As you can see, its defenses were in shambles, but luckily the shard remained. I was asked to make some carbone walls with which they would refortify, but I figured their desperate need for fortification could wait, because I saw big snails that I needed to squish. I eventually returned to base to process a bunch of slurry. I placed down a slurb incubator, and the slurry cleaning yielded some carbone with which I made the walls and a car boombox too. The boombox earned me the fish magnet recipe, and the walls got this place fortified, except Hugo immediately arrived to destroy them, which was rude.
I thought we agreed that I won and so we're friends now. No, Hugo. Wait, what? What the heck? Ulululu's here.
We thought we'd somehow gotten away with it. The shard remained, but then this happened. Hugo stole another shard of the lens. I had to use 3 of the hard-earned slurb magnets I collected to make fish magnets for Grandmammy, but at least she gave me an interesting reward.
Hot-blooded Gulanti essence. What the hell's a Gulanti? 2 of the shards been stolen, chica.
Correction, Hugo had stolen the shard at the Gamma Shard Podguard too, so now he had all 3. And all there was to do was gather all the Polari forces we could muster to fight, and hopefully reach him and stop him from reassembling the lens.
Okay, we unlocked the next saw. Great news. Great news. This is huge. I think this has got to be escargot. Escargot.
Did you know blowing up a field of smash blossoms is quite satisfying?
Delicious. And we can make the spine saw immediately with materials from the slurry. Beautiful. Here we go. I think I can get these now. I can get bluff fluff. Or can I get this stuff? No, I need a pickaxe for this stuff. A blast crabbling.
The blast crabblings were invulnerable to my attacks, and my bomb.
Oh, can I get these now? I can.
This meant black bark and flail pods were on the menu, and the flail pods could be used to blow up the floaty rocks, which yielded me flungus.
Flungus. Okay, I'm getting all sorts of random materials now.
I had a session collecting these new goodies.
The wobbly gong, the jacka gong, and the bonka gong.
This was a quest to fish up 3 extremely rare items, 1 in each of the biomes.
What are you? A Gulanti. Oh. Gulanti.
Yes, indeed, my first Gulanti foe. Another sparky one.
Doesn't move around much, so pretty easy to defeat. These guys are moving. Ah, they get up at nighttime. I see.
Another new foe with fiery explosive tendencies and the ability to erupt upwards to glorious heights. I fought a bunch, as well as any slurbs I saw because I still needed them magnets. This raging slurb took quite a while to defeat, but it dropped me 2 essences. No magnets though. I continued collecting into day 87 before finally making my way to Greenstone. This is a teleporter between the tundra and the savannah, and it was good to secure it for my convenience traveling between biomes.
Is that all of the enemies discovered? It looks like there's one between the blast crab and the Gulanti. Yeah, that's all of the enemies discovered except for one.
Grandmammy developed a fish food recipe that fish of the tundra absolutely love, so I made 2 of those. And thanks to materials collected with my new saw, I was able to make a burn churn workstation.
So this is all flungus, and I gotta kill lifts. I can't get a sword until I get a pet lift.
I settled for an axe for now and made some boots and a chest piece too. I expanded my pot farm and placed the frozen fish food I'd made at the central pod guard. These made new permanent fishing spots, which would provide a renewable food resource for the ongoing war efforts.
I probably got these in the other zones, but I didn't bother. But you can create your own fish farm. Okay, we're doing big damage now. Did you see that? That was a 30,000 damage crit. Holy crap.
I went on the hunt for a Polari named Pow, but I must have got some dodgy directions because this is not Pow. This is Splish. Splish had a clue as to where Pow actually was though.
Pow!
Pow wanted me to make him a pincushion bomb. I spent much of the day hunting down lifts and collecting with my saw, and I was very keen to find a liff egg so I could get a domesticated liff. After a bit of a grind, I found what I was after.
We got the egg. We got the egg.
Is it just me, or was I doing a higher volume of silly voices during this playthrough? I got crafting, including making pincushion bombs for POW, I harvested, and after 2 more gear upgrades, my health ballooned to over 50,000. While waiting for the lift to incubate, I headed out, and randomly decided to use a bomb on this shirk. It hit for almost 50,000 damage, which is outrageous. The reason I wasn't using bombs regularly is because I decided they were too much of a grind to craft, but maybe I shouldn't have been sleeping on bombs. I gave POW his pincushion bomb, and with that he was willing to join the war efforts at the central pod guard, which earned me an excellent reward.
Hey, you get the ice pick now as well. Hell yes. Oh, there's more quests. The pickaxe.
I decided to switch over to a sword, made from a shank from my newly domesticated liff.
I can get these weird tubes now. Woo, weird tubes.
I needed a new trowel for this thing though, and I think I found the one remaining enemy type I'd been missing, a Gallum. These metapods split themselves in 3 to attack, which I thought was quite impressive. My new pick allowed me to collect ice quills too, and the collecting spree was on. And if some slurps could drop some flamin' magnets, that would be great, thank you. After collecting most of day 89's daylight hours away, I returned to craft.
Can we make the new workstation? I need 3 more ice quills. I had lots of ice. Oh, I've been eating the ice quills accidentally? For goodness sake, man. Stop automatically equipping extremely useful things. You know how annoying that is?
Yeah, if you run out of whatever potion you've been chugging, the game automatically equips the highest healing item into your potion slot. So I ate all my precious ice quills, because apparently they are great for your constitution. I spent the night collecting more, and in the morning I crafted a refinery workstation, though I couldn't make anything at it yet, as I was missing this mysterious red resource, alloyonite.
Give me all the slurry processed in the world.
I expanded my farm once more, and the carbone from that slurry allowed me to pot some ice quills to place here.
Get angrier. And bigger.
These guys here at the Shattered Scar are recorders, and their job is to record groovy Polari music, but also to uncover the secrets of the past. After rescuing them from some angry glazers, I grabbed a couple of quests from them, and as night fell I turned my attention to killing blast crabs, as I was going to need a bunch of their shells to make the newest tier of gear. This liff named Musty joined the fray without me realizing. This was actually the target from one of my new quests, and we died simultaneously.
What the? What slowed me, dude? I killed the enemy I was supposed to kill, but I didn't even realize.
The next target they wanted me to kill was Gymlock, so down Gymlock went. And when I killed this slurb, I finally hit a huge milestone. At long last, the 15 slurb magnets I needed for Flack's quest.
I got all the magnets finally. It took me like 40 days.
He was supposed to use these to make an epic bomb item, but for now he told me to give him some time and asked me to return tomorrow.
Carbone healing potion is crazy. 52k.
I made some of those, I enjoyed a beautiful fungus chain reaction, and I provided the recorders with some beautiful polka dot flooring to liven up the place. I made a thermometer out of a sodium chunk I stole from my pet shirk, and gave it to the recorders so they could gather some data, and they told me to come back in 10 minutes.
After this game's constant questathon, it's just like quest. I just got 2 quests in a row that were just wait 10 minutes and do nothing. Unbelievable.
I used the time to collect stuff, of course. I still needed heaps of slurry metals, so geyser slurry was an important resource to grab. And the next Polari I was sent to recruit for the war effort was Splish, who had a smithy.
I need to build a new bag pump and place it in my smithy. Okay.
By this point, it had been 1 day, so I returned to Flack, who taught me how to craft a bomb catcher, and it wasn't as good as I was hoping. It was a trinket that meant 1 in 4 bombs would not consume a bomb nor incur a cooldown. I'd been hoping it'd be 100% of bombs, but I guess that'd be too strong. I made a bag pump for Splish.
You know about the even fire lamp box? It got eaten by an enormous blast crab. Wake up! Wake up!
I'd have to take these crabs on to steal the even fire lamp box come nightfall. But for now I placed down the bag pump for Splish, which secured her recruitment for the war effort. And then I immediately picked the bag pump back up and placed it at my base.
Yeah, need ice quills for oil bags. Alright, make as many as we can. Alright, I can make alloyonite out of carbone and oil bags.
And that was the final piece of the puzzle to get the next tier of gear. So I was able to make a few items and upgrade them a little too.
Thermometer has discovered a pattern in the data.
Since it was night, I decided to go take on Crab Furno.
Don't back me into a corner. Run. Oh gosh.
Never mind. The data from the thermometer had revealed 3 coordinates. At the first, I broke this trigger stone. At the second, I broke this trigger stone. And at the third, another trigger stone.
By the horn of Megala.
A big temple thingo popped out of nowhere, and the recorders believed these clues would lead to the discovery of an ancient guardian who they hoped would help us in the fight against Hugaduku. I fought and claimed a couple of chests worth of loot before heading along this path across the tar. And at the end of the path, I did indeed discover an ancient guardian.
Yep. EMG. What? He got that crazy eye. Von Eck direct.
construct. Unfortunately, Hugo had been wise to the existence of this guardian, and he'd corrupted it. And so the strange construct that we'd hoped would prove a great ally ended up as a boss for me to defeat.
Serious, bro. Wait, has he got a floating eyeball chasing me? He does.
As long as I dodged the eyeball and the wall of fire, I was free to unleash big damage upon EMG. It was a good plan to dodge the occasional barrage of rockets too.
Oh! What's he doing now? He's shooting his head off.
And so I was sadly forced to put down the corrupted guardian. It gave me a bunch of schematics, and I got a schematic as a quest reward, so his death was not in vain. I then tried to kill Crabferno again.
Ow! Oh, dude, the radius on that is too big. I'm too slow.
I tried again.
Oh, dude, I'm trying to keep my distance. That still hit me.
I at least killed one of them, and it dropped something I needed for another quest.
Okay, that dropped the key I needed to get into the prison I'm supposed to do, and I got an egg. So that's something.
I fought them well into day 94, and I got into a rhythm keeping my distance and letting Bilebutt do most of the damage.
It's a slow burn, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, forget what I said, I am hopeless. Dead. I crafted the rest of my red set of armor.
Do you reckon a bigger goes...
I crafted 12 frozen fish food and made a spot for them here.
Little fishing spot. Worth adding that to the farm. Not a bad shout.
I added EMG's trophy to the museum, and I headed down this way to Django's sanctum. Some of the bog had gotten through here, which I thought was a bad thing since I had to cover up the bog spots earlier, but I don't know, whatever. Evidently some mustachioed gentlemen had gotten through too. These two wanted me to help them craft a freezing device, so they wanted 10 zeolite and 10 depressurized lava.
Is Crabferno gonna defeat me 3 nights in a row?
I chugged elixirs to buff up my pet with berserk, damage and crit chance, and so Bilebutt was going beast mode while I really tried to concentrate, which is hard for me. But finally, after many failures, I stopped being a goose and became a champion.
I swear Crabferno should be a boss. I swear Crabferno's harder than all the bosses.
I claimed the recipe for the even fire lamp box from the chest Crabferno had been protecting. It boosts your fire damage by 30%. Very interesting.
I can make the blast crab incubator now. I need to kill some Gulanti so I can get the next trowel.
But it seemed to me the Gulanti were rather hard to find. I'd barely seen any. I headed to the ruins of a Hugaduku outpost and learned that he'd been trying to make an incineration device called Big Red. On my way to the location where the plans for this Big Red were supposedly located, I finally came across a couple more Gulanti. Great news. Give me your calcite, please. And at the location, there was a random desaturated Satgat on holidays from the bog. I claimed the schematic.
We got the plans for Big Red, man. Burns enemies for 100% EDPS. Yes! That's a great item.
I'd been ignoring most gadgets and trinkets for so long. It was nice to find one that tickled my fancy. I welcomed my pet Blast Crab, Unit, and finally made the trowel upgrade with the Gulanti materials I'd collected.
Is it this stuff? Okay, this is one thing I need with my trowel. Christine. Oh, I need this. I can use this on my pickaxe. Liquidion.
I needed the Liquidion to feed to my Blast Crab to get Blast Crab hydrocarbon to make Big Red. These Magmite mounds yielded Lonsdaleite and various Magmite critters. I found some depressurized lava too, but these seemed to be rare. Once I had 3 Liquidion, I made some Blast Crab hydrocarbon and I began crafting Big Red. While it was crafting, I made my way to this prison facility, the key to which I'd found a few nights back inside a Blast Crab. I took on Warden Sharpie, Warden Bar, and Warden Whiplash. I freed the prisoners in the western wing, took on Warden Ilililili, and freed the prisoners in the eastern wing too. I then picked up Big Red, and also this efficiency engine, except...
Wait, I made the efficiency engine? No, I didn't mean to make the efficiency engine. I wanted to make the lamp box, for goodness sake.
To be fair, they look kind of similar. I couldn't make the lamp box just yet though, in any case.
I'll just use the lid flipper, which at least boosts 20% damage for now. Alright, let's see. Oh, it drops it right on the floor.
Yes, indeed. Big Red slaps down a big fiery circle of death, and it dealt some juicy damage. It was the new MVP on my action bar for sure. For freeing those prisoners, I received a new workstation schematic, and a few more quests popped up. This Wolo individual had 2 quests in a row asking for items that I already had, so those were done quickly, and I earned the snowball machine schematic. And Jarb over here wanted me to make him blind. He believed that if he deprived himself of the sense of sight, he'd become a better musician. I could not make the foundry, which is the final workstation, just yet, but I was able to make an emerald hand torch with which Jarb attempted to blind himself. Sadly, it wasn't bright enough, so we needed to go brighter. Our next strategy was a searchlight, but I couldn't quite make one of those yet. I was still hoping to fish up the epic fish hook of the tundra, so I fished out my fish farm here before heading to meet these dinguses.
Hello, you're making a farm, guys.
The Polari are nomadic people, so farming is something they don't do. In fact, they frown upon it. However, these 2 entrepreneurs were keen to change that. I did some weeding for them before collecting what I needed for the searchlight. This at last did the trick for Jarb, and he was now blind. blind. Finally, he was able to get his Stevie Wonder strategy working, and I got to keep the searchlight, which is actually a pretty juicy trinket that gives pets 20% crit chance. I considered using it, but chose to stick with the safety gogs, which was probably the wrong choice in retrospect. I brought some farm plots to the farmers here, and they placed them in very logical spots.
Even bigger unit. Even bigger unit. Hell yeah. That's an even bigger unit.
I brought the farmers some walls so they could build a wampet pen. The farm received an actually logical layout. I brought some carbone walls for another pen, this one for a vommer, and at this point everything else I needed to do required more of the top tier of materials, so I headed out collecting. I needed Christine, all the materials and magmites from the magmite mounds, these bunions that appeared in the distant snowy areas of the tundra, and Goulanti materials, but for the life of me I could not find any Goulantis.
Look how far I've come. I'm not finding anything. I don't understand. Where are the Gazungis, or whatever they're called?
The Goulanti spawn on these blue crystal areas, which aren't exactly rare, but they're also not common. So it does take a little bit of running around to rack up a decent number of Goulanti kills. This particular spot had some swollen, jumpy Goulantis, which were kind of tough. But after some effective work from Big Red, along with some near-death experiences, I was on my way to collecting what I needed. I kept at it into day 98, and I was also keeping an eye out for depressurized lava, which I needed for a few things. These little pink blobs are definitely quite rare. I encountered a max lift, the epic apex lift, and it took me a long time to kill, a very long time. But after literally 4 minutes of this, I finally earned a max lift essence. It turned out I randomly had 5 already that I'd found in chests or received as rewards, so I probably didn't need to kill it, but oh well. I gave some of the magmites I'd collected to Pow and earned the Harvest Bomb Mark V schematic, and I was able to craft the Foundry, the final tier workbench. Absolutely glorious. I immediately made Gallum and Goulanti incubators.
And the final weapons are all legendaries?
The final set of armor is legendary too, and I was able to craft the helm, chest piece, and gloves straight away. I placed down these final eggs and rearranged a little to tidy the zoo up.
That is the complete menagerie. We're getting so close to completion. It's actually quite satisfying.
That was a somewhat premature statement, as I had a fair bit of grinding to do to truly complete this playthrough to 100%. But I love the optimism. I gave Pow 3 types of bombs and earned the big one schematic, the final tier of bomb in the game, and the legendary armor pieces took 5 minutes to craft each. So while I was waiting, I headed out to collect more Goulanti materials. In particular, I needed 10 Goulanti chompers for a quest, so I was very pleased to find a huge blue crystal zone with an abundance of Goulantis for me to slap, and it even had a couple of depressurized lava. I soon had the chompers I needed, and suddenly I had all 3 schematics for the final 3 weapons.
Hello, Brad. They figured out where Hugaduku is. He's in a low orbit around Wonope.
So the purple head was hanging out in space, but there exists an Elder Stone, which requires a representative from each of the 3 races to activate, and this Elder Stone could in theory teleport me to Hugo, allowing me to take him down.
I mean, this is clearly Metapod. And this is clearly Sunburnt Diglett. A very juicy helmet. Look at that. Holy dooly.
A cheeky 20k extra health on the helm, not too shabby, and a solid glove upgrade too. I also finally made the even fire lamp box.
Alright, I think I'll get rid of my poison thing and go all in on fire. We got 50% extra fire damage from the lamp box plus the lid flipper. We bring back the flamethrower. And of course, Big Red. Oh, firepower on my chest as well is sick. I'm pretty sure that's just extra fire damage.
To craft my weapon, I needed to head out and collect some more, so on day 100, out I went. And my fire damage was popping off.
The fire damage is crazy, man.
I kept at it for most of the day.
Okay, we can craft the eye. I think I stick with the sword.
And I'd now collected the full set of ludicrous armor. I did some chores around the base to kill time, and one of my goals was to fully evolve all of my pets. So I began taking stock of what I needed to collect to achieve this. One thing was wily Bamley essence, so I went to the bog to kill some big Bamleys. Except the Bamleys are resistant to fire damage, so going all in on fire wasn't ideal against these guys. Also, I died somehow. I needed a few gold too, so I grabbed that before heading back to the tundra to collect my new weapon. I made 8 potted bunions and placed them here, and it was time to juice forge my gear.
Oh, we got the firepower. We'll take that.
Yes, indeed. My plan was to go even more all in on the fire damage. You can use the convert stats feature to roll all of your stats into one. So suddenly, all my gear had quite a bit of plus fire damage on it. I had to re-roll my gloves about 15 times before it finally rolled firepower, and then I went all in, and likewise with the pants. Weapons can't roll firepower. I could have rolled for a chance to burn on hit, but I was dealing most of my fire damage from my active items anyway, and I hate running slow, so I decided to max out the move speed on the eye. All up, I had just shy of 200% firepower on my armor, and another 50% from my trinkets, so my fire damage numbers suddenly got rather large, particularly against the Gulati, who appeared to be vulnerable to fire damage. Overall, the result was outrageous. I was doing insane numbers compared to before. This made me wonder if I should have been min-maxing my stats the whole game, but on the other hand, you upgrade your gear so regularly, it would have cost too many crystallized juice, so it's probably best I saved all the juice for this final tier of gear. I made my way to the Elder Stone, where Grandmammy, Chuchu, and Chica were all present to say the magic words. And all together now.
With bands united against forces blighted, we make this world our own. Beautiful. Inspirational. It looks kind of cool, doesn't it?
I did not head through just yet though, because I had a few more loose ends to tie up. For example, Brad's electro dongle had been stolen by a ferocious Gulati. I'd managed to slowly collect a decent amount of depressurized lava in my travels, so I continued making Gulati zeolite from sunburnt Diglett. I gave some final walls to the farmers, and Grubby came out of nowhere to admit he'd been the one supplying the farm with these beasts that had appeared out of nowhere. And he'd also stolen some other stuff, so he asked me to go meet with the person he'd stolen from. I'm not sure why this was my problem, but why not? I will go kill the brain in a spaceship. I don't mind. The fact that the IHO was a slow idiot, combined with the fact that I was dealing outrageous amounts of damage, made this fight rather straightforward.
You suck, IHO. You suck.
Another boss defeated, no worries. And another quest line completed too. At this point, I just had 3 quests on top of the one to defeat Hugaduku. One was to fish up the 3 epic fish hooks, which I figured I'd save till later because that sounded like a grind. One was to collect 10 Gulati zeolites, which I'd already crafted, costing 20 depressurized lava, but it also required 10 more depressurized lava, so I was still on the hunt for pink goop. And the other quest was to kill Gigantigax and get Brad his electro dongle back. I found the big Gulati here, and ended up in an epic battle with about 300 Gulati, but my fire damage was popping off, so it went pretty smoothly. This battle would have taken stupidly long without my recent upgrades.
220,000 damage crit. Can you imagine how hard these guys would be without my ridiculous fire build?
I'd managed to find 4 depressurized lava in my time hunting for Gigantigax, and it took me about 7 minutes to find the remaining 6 that I needed. That is a lot of running through the tundra like a goose on the loose. But hold on a second. Guess what I needed to fully evolve multiple pets? Gulati zeolite, which costs 2 depressurized lava to make each. At this point, I knew I needed at least 5 more zeolite, which meant I needed another 10 depressurized lava, so I kept at it into day 103. The benefit of this grind was that I still needed a bunch of schematic drops, so I secured a few of those as I went. Brad gave me a rather delicious reward for avenging his electro dongle, a helmet that resembles his own.
Oh, it's even better than what I've got? Holy crap. It's got like 30k more health? Okay. Let's re-roll that for firepower, baby.
I had to re-roll the stats exactly 13 times until it finally rolled firepower, but then it was all in on the fire, of course.
So that was a 30k health and 20% damage helmet. We take those.
We do indeed. Nice upgrade, Brad. I placed down IHO in the Golden Boss Museum, and I finally turned in the 10 zeolite and depressurized lava, earning a frosty trinket, and they also freezed over this bog invasion. With that, I had just 2 quests remaining. I had another fishing session, hoping to find the Bonkagong treasure, but again, I had no luck. And then it was time.
Alright friends, let's go.
And so I arrived in an outer space boss arena, with old mate Hugaduku ready to rumble.
Just let me take over this planet. What's it to you anyway? You're using my packages, it's very rude. And you're not allowed to kill people also, but mainly the packages.
Hugaduku was crack-a-lacking the packages, attempting to use their power to reforge the lens, and it was up to me to stop him. It was the same Hugo from the previous 2 times I'd fought him, except with the numbers scaled up and more lasers. I of course had to avoid all the stuff that was flying around, but it didn't really impact my damage output too much because I was able to hit him with my fire devices without too much risk. And of course Bilebutt constantly dished out big damage too.
Why can't we just come to a deal? No, man. Why do you want it so badly? If you knew what was at the center of this world, you would understand my desire for it. There's something at the core of Wano.
I did get hit a few times in this fight, but he surprisingly was unable to one-hit me, which meant it was game over for the big boy as I slowly wore him down.
The Chick Rub Queen will be mine to command and the entire planet will be overrun. No, it won't.
After running around in circles for a bit longer, the final boss of Crashlands was laid low.
The world, the core, the enslavable masses, it was the perfect package. This is one package you won't be receiving. We did it! We defeated Hugo! He's delivering the packages, or freeing them, or something. Oh, they went through a wormhole. Huzzah!
Juicebox deactivated the Crack-a-Lacka and sent the packages to their destination. Which begs the question, why were we delivering them in the first place if they could have been sent instantly through a wormhole? But it's fine.
Hey! Woo! We did it!
It's done. Hugaduku has been defeated and the Crack-a-Lacka is powered down. We just got word from the rescue ship. They're in radio range and should be here in a few days. However, because the packages were 3 minutes late to their destination, they were gonna penalize my pension.
Alright, we're resigning from the bureau. Screw those guys. We do love all these nerds.
With that, the planet Wonope was saved, and now it was my home for the long term, apparently, which is great news, because I still needed to find 13 more schematics, I still had to evolve almost all of my pets, and there were a few tricky Steam achievements to hunt down too. I spent the next 2 days running around collecting depressurized lava, and fishing too, as I of course wanted to fish up that bonkagong. 8 of the Steam achievements I had left were to beat the game on higher difficulties, and in hardcore. However, the higher difficulties add nothing new, they just scale the numbers higher, which would make the enemies that already take 5 minutes to defeat on this difficulty take even longer to kill. Also, you've seen me playing, there is no way I was going to pull off hardcore before losing my mind. In light of that, I made the executive decision to ignore those achievements and focus on doing 100% of what you can do in a single playthrough, which is definitely the fun option.
Taxidermic creatures is easy, walls is easy. Hunt 100 epic creatures. I think that's like the apex version of each creature. I can finish that. Craft 10,000 floors. That is a fair bit of grinding.
Max lifts are an example of epic creatures, so I killed this one to add to the tally towards 100. All that collecting earned me over 30 depressurized lava, among other things, so I began crafting items to evolve my pets. The Gullanti was especially good to evolve, as having it with you increases treasure find, which was going to be crucial towards finding the fishing legendary. I also managed to craft a fish magnet.
And I use the fish magnet here. Did I get the thing? I got it! Yes, I actually got it! We got the excellent bonkagong of transfusions. Okay, so that's the first one I needed.
With that, I no longer needed to fish like a maniac, in the tundra at least.
I need some satgato, so I can get satgat silk so I can fully upgrade my Galanti. So we're gonna go to the bog immediately.
I'd soon found all of that, and so I got the insulated sweater crafting. With my Gullanti fully evolved, I now enjoyed 150% treasure find, and I was ready to continue my quest. Except I got distracted making taxidermied creatures and placing them in this new museum area. While I was at it, some more evolutions came through, and this process made me realize I never made my own Jolly Chomp. I just used the free one that had been available back in the bog. So I made one finally and properly rounded out my workstation lineup. Eventually, it was done. Every creature's stuffed equivalent was on display.
And in number 1, bottom of the food chain is little Hugaduku.
In the process of crafting all of those, I earned the achievement to make 15 taxidermied creatures, strike that one off the list, and I next went on a collecting spree in the savannah. I collected as many logs and flatstone as I could, as they'd be helpful to craft all the walls and floors I needed, and when I returned I focused on crafting the walls first, as I only needed 500 of those.
500 walls is done, so I can move on to making exclusively floors now.
My time in the savannah had also gotten me what I needed for more pet upgrades.
Wow, what business do you have being so ugly?
One more WAT upgrade, and I next figured out how to make fish food for the savannah and bog. I could only afford 10 for the bog, so I placed them here near the teleporter, and these respawn every 2 hours. But I was hoping I wouldn't have to revisit this spot too many times in the hunt for the jackagong. For this first explosion of fish though, no luck. I was able to make way more of the savannah equivalent, so here my fish farm was considerably bigger. Regardless, on this first clear, no luck. And so I took to running around fishing, while also collecting more floor crafting materials. Once night fell, I targeted glutterflies, because I suspected they dropped the final recipe I needed from the savannah.
Oh, yep. That worked out. Okay, so we got the recipe immediately.
It's crafted from glutterfly materials, so it makes sense that they drop it. No luck with my fishing though.
I think the only thing I need here now is the fishing, so I should probably grind out the other stuff I need in the other zones.
Just one more before I go for good luck.
Oh! Just as I was about to give up, wobbly gong of thunder thighs. I was literally about to say, I'll come back later. I'll come back later when all my fishing spots have respawned. Never mind.
I next had a massive collecting session in the bog, with plenty of fishing thrown in. I had a floor crafting session with all the materials I had, and I discovered there were more floor varieties than I'd thought, and a whole bunch more evolutions came through. Evolutions galore. followed by a double bamley to get the moustache as big as possible. With that, I had only 6 more evolutions to go. I next did the run around collecting in the tundra, which eventually resulted in more evolutions.
Well, everything's upgraded now except for the blast crab because I don't have the cooler recipe. I assume I just have to kill blast crabs to get it.
And this recipe here was the only other recipe that hadn't dropped for me in my travels.
Carter, the infamous Carter.
You may recall I did a bunch of cartography quests for Carter in both the savannah and the bog, but I'd somehow never spoken to Carter in the tundra, so I needed to change that. After placing signs at a few locations, I finally got the flamin' thing.
There we go, there's the recipe I was missing. There we go. 2 more recipes.
I assumed one of these would drop from a blast crab, but blast crabs are resistant to fire, so killing them with my flame-tastic build was rather tedious. This was gonna be an annoying grind. Hoping to speed things up, I crafted a nematode blaster, which blast crabs are vulnerable to. All of this was filmed over the course of several hours, so I had more opportunities pop up to hopefully find the final gong hook thingo. No luck though. And I'm sad to report my frost damage items didn't really help that much. I took on this epic blast crab, which took me so long that it brings me pain just remembering it. In fact, it took all the way through to the next day. I thought for sure this, of all the crabs, would have the evolution schematic, but nope.
He didn't drop the recipe.
I began to doubt all my theories. Maybe it wasn't dropped from blast crabs. Maybe it was totally random and I was just unlucky so far. Maybe it would drop from a flungus.
No way, I got it from a flungus.
Yeah, I hadn't blown up a flungus once in the literal days I'd been searching, so it might be that it only drops from flungus. And perhaps I was literally grinding nothing the 4 nights in a row I'd spent slowly killing blast crabs. All good though, we got the final evolution. But since when did blast crabs have heads like that? I was then inspired to finish off my base, so I got to work. And when it was done, it looked like this. Farm to the right, all the fully evolved pets chillin', a beautiful bedroom featuring gravestones for good vibes, all of the stuffed animals, all the idiot dead bosses' gold statues, and all the workstations, with a gorgeous wall and tasteful lighting throughout. By the way, somewhere in all that grinding, I finished off my 100th epic enemy, earning that achievement. And so now there was nothing left to do except track down the jackagong in the bog and craft like 7,000 more floors. I'd run out of explodey fish bomb thingos, so I was fishing like a peasant. But on the final fishing spot of this farm here, finally.
Oh, is that it?
Yes! Yes! When telling this story, I skipped through a lot of the fishing, but trust me, I did heaps of fishing, so this was a relief to finally find. I took all 3 super rare hooks to the fishing expert dude in the tundra, and guess what he needed next? 10 Gulati zeolite. To make those 10 zeolite, I was gonna need another 20 depressurized lava. Oh, for goodness sake. On the plus side, I was able to collect a lot of buff fluff as I ran around, and buff fluff can be used to make floors. Just so you can understand exactly how much of a mission collecting these was, this is how long it took.
Yeah, there we go. Finally 20. It took me about, I think it took me just under 25 minutes.
I crafted the 10 zeolite and took them to old mate, and finally got the Megagong lure recipe.
That is all the recipes, all 577. What do I need to actually make the Mega Gong? Which is, there's an achievement to make it. I need 7 more zeolite.
And so I had another session running around like an idiot, until I had another 14 depressurized lava. Another 20 minutes went by.
I'll be able to fish up the legendary Mega Gong. Oh, I'm still gonna have to fish it. Oh gosh.
I thought I was just gonna craft the weapon, but no, I was crafting a lure with which I'd have a chance of fishing up the weapon. So I had more fishing to do. I headed to the savannah while I waited for it to craft, where I collected logs, squee, and flatstone, but also bones and leather from wompits, fur from wats, chitin from glutterflies, and siphons from gliderpie, all of which can also be used to craft floors. The savannah really is the king of floor making materials, no doubt. In fact, the glidopus siphons were MVP. I made 290 siphon floors from this one 10-minute grind session, just because Gliderpie dropped so many siphons.
We have the Mega Gong lure.
And I guess all there was to do is fish up a storm. Also, floors.
Well, we're picking up a lot of floors here.
I googled to verify it. With the Mega Gong lure equipped, you have an equal chance to catch the Mega Gong in any biome, which was great news as I had over 40 fishing spots set up across the 3 zones.
Oh, I think I got it. What? No, I got the same thing again. I got another excellent bonker gong. I want a mega gong, not a bonker gong.
I managed to craft more fish bombs to speed things up a little, but no luck blowing these 2 clusters up, until about 30 seconds later.
Oh, I believe I have fished it up. Oh, my packages. Yep, we got the gong. It's huge. It's level 37. Oh, It's got 8,000 more DPS.
Yes, indeed. Even bigger damage numbers. Very juicy. Holy dooly. Primo delicioso. Mucho niso. And with the Mega Gong in tow, I was able to turn in my very last quest.
That's every quest done for sure. That's every recipe learned.
I did some re-rolling of the Mega Gong and realized if you stack crit on it, you can get your crit chance rather high. Your movement speed too. But I ultimately decided it was probably strongest with a modest 60% crit, plus chances to stun and go berserk. And then I didn't even use it. I kept the eye equipped because I want to run speed anyway, because I had a lot of running to do.
I think we've got just over 7,000 floors in my inventory. Probably got at least 500 placed down. Maybe more.
So I needed about 2,000 more floors. And of course the place for floor farming silly willies is the savannah. So I roamed that savannah for about 20 minutes.
240 flatstone floors, 180 wampet floors, 570 log floors. There's no way we don't get it. 480 glidopus floors, 90 chitin floors, cheeky 50 squee floors, 40 crystal floors, 70 watt floors.
A short time later, it was time for a floor collection spree. And finally,
Hey, there it is.
hell yeah, that's a lot of floors. Don't forget, play War Thunder now using the link below, and for new players, or those who haven't played in over 6 months, you'll get some juicy rewards, including the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor.